Tristan Tate said to me he doesn't do interviews as long as Andrew Tate, and I went and got the longest interview on record with Tristan Tate.
Success is a form of revenge. I think it's the only form of revenge that any man should ever care about trying to reach.
In this exclusive episode, Tristan slams the UK.
The UK has just failed. They're not fixing the most basic issues. If I walk down on the street, even with, this is a moderately priced Rolex, and I start walking around, there's a good chance that someone's gonna put a knife through my heart to take my watch.
Tristan gives an exclusive on who's really behind his arrest and that the truth will come out.
As soon as the case is over, the entire world is going to know exactly why this happened.
Why did it happen?
Who set the dogs on me? And I think everyone's going to be very, very shocked.
And he talks about the downfall of the monarchy.
I'm not saying what happened to Harry was okay. What I'm saying is, to subject your poor grandmother to the accusation of racism in 2022, for me, unforgivable.
So Tristan, who controls the world?
Oh, obviously. My brother and me, you know, you haven't seen his hand symbol. It's all secret Illuminati stuff, you know. The conspiracy theorists are right. The people who accuse me of being the Illuminati are right. It's all Andrew. No.
You must have learned, being imprisoned and cancelled, you must have got further up the chain of who runs the world.
Oh, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. In fact, going to prison, being cancelled, this attack on me has connected me and Andrew politically on a level that we weren't at before. We've made far more important friends, millionaire, billionaire businessmen, politicians. Lots more people are happy to sit and talk to us, certainly in private, maybe not so much in public these days until my case is over, than ever before. So yeah, if you were to ask me in a very simple term, Andrew uses the term matrix all the time. What controls the world? Money. Big companies, big interests, they can buy governments, they can buy policy, they can make regulations, which are basically the same as laws, and they can get the people to dance when they want them to dance, stay home when they want them to dance, stay home, clap when they want them to clap. And I think money controls the world. And the people.
Do you think that's right, fair, just?
Yes, I do and I don't. I'm not one of the people out there. You have people who have, I met a man many years ago, played in a band, I guess the word is bum. And he was showing me these documents for a completely new political system he came up with. It wasn't democracy, it wasn't communism. He was like, oh, in this new political system, it would really take off. And I'm like, bro, you play in a band and you live in Eastern Europe. Like, what universe do you think that this is ever going to, even if you're right, even if this is the golden ticket for all of humanity, how do you expect anybody to listen to you when you're sitting there playing in a band all day? So what I do is I try to change the world on more of a micro level. I don't try to change who runs the world, who controls the world, how the monetary system works, how fair or unfair it is. I try to look at the game and play the game as best as I understand the rules. So changing it on a micro level can be something as little as inspiring young men to get into shape, to care more about their health. That should, in theory, lower the cost of healthcare for every developed nation if everybody listened to mine and Andrew's advice. And it's the micro level change that I'm more interested in pursuing myself. I'm not trying to run for office. I'm not trying to change the laws. And the world is set up the way it's set up. So I just try and win the game, as you have. Get a bunch of money, put it in your bank. Oh, what's the money worth? What's it backed by? I don't care. I have lots of it, and it can buy real things. It buys real food and real properties and real cars and real experiences, and it gets you plane tickets and private jets and all the things that you want. So do I really care what it's backed by? It's not an issue that I try to alter, and I never will.
Do you think maybe in some ways, whoever controls the world, the governments, the big corporations, they're just running a company like you're running a company and I'm running a company, and if we were controlling the world, we might run the company in a similar way?
I believe I'm a far more moral person than some of the people. So some of the large companies and the people behind them that control the money, I feel like they're happier to flush human lives down the toilet than I ever would be. So when you look at some countries, Saudi Arabia as example, that's run like a business, and the leaders and the people sit around, they think, okay, we have this many resources, we have this much space, how do we best make our company profitable? How do we make it safe? How do we make everyone inside of it happy? So as with real companies, I've had good bosses and I've had bad bosses. I think the world as a whole is overwhelmingly, unfortunately, controlled by evil money. And I see that with the wars that happen, the people who die every day, the lockdowns and some of the restrictions they try to put on people, how little they care about the little guy. I would be a far more moral leader. I wouldn't send young men to die in a pointless war. I wouldn't finance wars, try to start them for profit, benefit, nothing. If I could end all war and be financially broke myself, there's a button right here I could press, good, I'll live on the streets for the rest of my life. Whereas this clearly isn't the attitude of some of the people at the top. They're happy to enrich themselves, enrich their families, and who goes to die? The poor people. Poor people go and die, and of course now I have some money, but I am essentially a poor person with lots of money. I'm a working class guy, I come from a council estate. It's me and my people who have to march off to their to their wars and go and fight and die. I said this the other day. I was naming the number of children certain UK politicians have, numbers of sons. I can't remember the exact names of the exact kids. I Googled them on the spot. I don't know off the top of my head, but it was like, this minister, this member of parliament, all have sons aged 17 to 25. And I said, well, unless their sons are going with me, I wouldn't go, because go fight your own bloody wars. If it's so important, like you harp on about it in the news all the time, or stand in the House of Parliament and lecture people about the importance of these military operations, good, send your own kids. But they never do. I think I know the statistic, during the entire US intervention in Iraq, of 545 sitting members of Congress, only one had a child who was in the services who even stepped foot in the country of Iraq, which is terrifying. So I think that leaders should lead their own soldiers into battle. I'm too moral. I don't want to run the world the way that everyone else runs it.
Do you think, because I think about this a lot, because the reason I want to know who runs the world is because I am in the world.
Yes.
And therefore their decisions affect me. And I agree with you, the best thing you can do to rebel is to get really rich and build your own infrastructure, an ecosystem of which you are the leader of. But still, those powerful people, whoever they are, make decisions which could ruin my life tomorrow. So I feel like I owe it to myself to figure out where it goes and what got them there if I want to create change. And sometimes I think there's just some evil people and their family lineage of thousands of years were evil people.
Yes.
And then other times, like politics, I think some people go in with good intent and then power corrupts, and for them to fit within the system, it changes them. Have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, well, it's not just power that corrupts. I think it's actually a lack of understanding of the system. So if we take the American Republican primaries, for example, a lot of people were harping on about Vivek Ramaswamy, who I don't dislike. I like him. But the reason I was Trump should be president guy, not Vivek, is because Trump is now prepared for the enemy he's facing. He was put into office. He thought, I'm the president. I can do what I want to help the country. And he found himself, remember Russiagate, Russia rigged the election? He was fighting this in court for 3.5 years. And it's like, oh, well, okay, it turns out Russia didn't need the election. Oh, time's up. And then he was out. I feel like Vivek could have been blindsided with some nonsense claim. I mean, for example, he's of Indian heritage. Okay, he becomes president. Maybe India interfered with the election. He'd be sitting there for 3 years, 3.5 years, fighting this imaginary case, not getting what he needs to do done. And then it's, all right, time's up, Vivek, get out. So the reason I was a pro-Trump guy is because it's not just about power corrupting people. I think people who get into power maybe don't realize how little power they have in the position that they're fighting for. Whereas Trump now knows the rules. He knows who he's up against. He knows who in the deep state's trying to take him down. So I think he's the most qualified man for the job. So I don't think anyone necessarily gets corrupted. I think that the suits knock on the door and sit down and say, oh, congratulations, Prime Minister. Well, this is the way it works. And if you don't like it, shut up. That's what I think.
Yeah, so it's interesting you talk about the guy in a band who had a new model of the political system.
It was terrible, by the way.
Yeah.
I looked it over.
Right, okay. But the political system surely is broken. It's not a democracy. It's not of the people, for the people. So, and does it not take a naive, delusional human to change?
Yes, it's not of the people, for the people. It's of the money, for the money. And that's the way it works in, I think, most political systems. Most democracies, it's all about the money. And I don't think countries like our country, you're British, of course, really have a chance of any radical change. I really see it, and I see that both parties are center, One center right, one center left. They're basically the same. They argue about tiny little minor differences in and of themselves. But I think money controls both parties. And in the United States and some other countries in the world, you can have a maverick who comes along with a new idea, a new way of doing things, a new way of saying things, and he can be swept into office from relative obscurity. Then he chooses the other people in charge. Systems like England are the scariest because, for all those watching who don't know this, the way that the UK elections work is there's hundreds of mini elections for each member of parliament, and then the party that wins the most seats in parliament gets to form a government, and then they select their prime minister from the people who are sitting in the house. So nobody can come along, anybody, and just say, I've got a new way of doing things, please vote for me. Vote for me where? What, Coventry South, Luton North? Then you're a member of parliament. You have no power. You're not directing the government. They're not going to form a government from you. So I look at, what people like Lawrence Fox are doing with the Reform Party and stuff, and I'm just thinking, I'd love, not because I necessarily adore what the Reform Party stand for, but I want new faces in our government and I want new people sitting in those chairs. And I'd love the Reform Party to even find enough people to run in every single little local election in the first past the post system to absolutely, sweep the numbers, get 200 people sitting in the Houses of Parliament. And at least then we have a new way of doing things. But it can't happen. If Lawrence Fox or any of these people running for the Reclaim Party, even is it Reform Party, even get their single seat, it's going to be Labour or Conservative who form the government, who have their Prime Minister. And there hasn't been a revolution in British politics since the invention of the Labour Party when they first came around. So it's scary and it's sad, and I don't think there's any way of fixing some countries. And England is most broken, to answer your question about is it broken. It's more broken in places like England than it is in the United States.
Yeah, that's scary, because the paradox that comes to mind is it's broken, it's been broken for so long, there's nothing you can do about it, sort yourself out.
Yeah.
If we don't stand up and fight against it, it will never change. So we manifest the lack of change.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, absolutely. But there's nobody who I've seen, even from people who I like Nigel Farage, who can actually garner that kind of numbers behind them.
Nigel,
to get something done.
I think he can now.
You think he can?
I mean, I know him really well. He's been on the show a few times.
I think he's awesome.
He's powerful now.
I think he's
more powerful than Rishi now.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Yeah. And Nigel was awesome. So what does he do? Does he rejoin the Conservative Party and try to fight his position within the party to get himself to the Prime Minister position? That is the best, I think, course of action for Mr. Farage, because forming a new party, I mean, UKIP it was a one policy party, and that now is finished, and well done to him. But forming a new party and trying to get 200, 300 people to all win seats, I just don't think it's possible. So I'd like to see someone who can garner the kind of numbers to win a sweeping general election. And personally, I don't think Nigel Farage could do it. I think his only way in is through the Conservatives, which is sad because he cares about England. He really cares about England, and he's a really good guy. In my opinion, you know him, I don't.
I'd agree. So we have another paradox that exists, and that's one about money, because you've essentially said that money corrupts.
Yes.
But you're rich as and you love money.
So I am rich as thank you. But you're not doing too bad yourself either, are you, Rob? I don't know.
I'm doing all right.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So how do you exist in that paradox? How do you not let it corrupt you?
It's I don't think money or power corrupt moral people. I think they bring out more of who you really are, I didn't run a charity when I was 21 because I had no money. Now I do because I have money. My mum still worked a job when I was 21. Now she doesn't because I have money. Even the people who follow me around, I just had lunch now. I tip 100% at every restaurant I go to because I have money. I'm a kind person, and money allows you to do more of the things that you enjoy. So if you meet someone who seems like a good, down-to-earth guy who then wins the lottery and he starts talking down to people and being dismissive and being rude to waiters, I don't think he's been corrupted. I think that's who he really was. But you can't act that way in a position of poverty. I feel like it reveals your true character. So how do you stop money from corrupting people? I guess the answer is you don't. You have good people and bad people. And I wish the world was set up in a way that it was easier for the good people to get rich. Rather than, the evil, cutthroat, vindictive people, because capitalism is a system where it's easier if you're cutthroat to get rich than if you're kind and moral, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. Although, do you think we even have capitalism anymore?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, capitalism is a system. For capitalism to be real, money has to be real. Money has to be backed by something other than a military that's willing to like invade every single country, saying no names, and you know, and overthrow their leaders when they don't like using their currency. So, for capitalism to be real, money has to be real. Personal ownership of wealth has to be real. What does your bank balance even mean? Nothing. Is it backed by gold or silver or anything? No. I mean, the only way to actually have wealth is to accumulate things that are expensive. So, I mean, if you own a bunch of properties, a bunch of cars, a bunch of gold, then you do have some wealth. But, you know, capitalism means that every single intermediary exchange between goods and services is all cyberspace, smoke and mirrors, nothing. So I guess in a way we don't have capitalism. But I don't know what to do about that besides, you know, keep making as much of this money as I can and keep buying real things.
So, well, it sounds like you do, because you said that flippantly, but I think it was wise. You use the system of capitalism and this thing that isn't real money, and then you convert it into real assets that is real money.
Well, yeah, and that's
how you get rich.
And that's exactly what the evil people do as well. That's what evil people do as well. If you're a bank and you can print money out of thin air.
What the banks do is take everyone's money and convert it into assets.
Exactly. Or they take everyone's assets. So a bank will, as you know, but the viewers at home may not know, the bank will say, I am the bank and I offer a mortgage to everyone in this studio right now, 10 people, 10 mortgages, you all bought your homes, you know what your job is, you know what your salaries are, and you're all paying me a certain amount of money back on these loans I give you. Okay, cool. Well, interest rates go up, you got some variable interest rates on your mortgages, then suddenly I personally crash the property market and the value of all your houses go down, and I start saying, oh, well, your loans are too big, blah, blah, I'm gonna default you on all these loans, I'm gonna take all your houses. What's happened? A bunch of money is moved around, which doesn't mean anything, and I have 10 houses, your houses. And you're all homeless.
And they didn't have to earn their money,
exactly.
They created it.
Exactly, They printed it out of thin air for you to work and do the labor to get these houses. Now they're all mine. None of you have houses, the whole street is mine. So evil people do it, absolutely. They don't even need to do any work or come up with any good ideas to get everyone's assets. Farmland, it's all going into the hands of these people. And it's a scary future to look into.
Huge news, years in the making. My brand new book that my publishers refuse to publish, Money Matrix. Beat the money system and build generational wealth. Understand the 3 main ways that the banks productize you and make money from you. You'll be able to turn that system against itself, build generational wealth and multiple streams of recurring income. It's all at moneymatrix.cash. And if you're quick, the first few hundred registrants and buyers will receive many special bonuses from me. The brand new Money Maker Summit 3-day special event. Meet me at a champagne reception. Meet me at a multi-millionaire networking dinner. Go now, moneymatrix.cash. This is huge.
So part of my mission, because my mission is to help as many people on the planet get better financial knowledge, is to learn what the system does. Because actually, take morality out of it,
yes,
it's pretty smart.
Yeah, no, it is. It's genius.
I mean, if I could sell you a money printer that you could have in your office where you could just print money, you wouldn't tell me to fuck off, would you?
No, absolutely. I'd buy it at whatever it cost. I'd buy it for all that I have, because then I'm rich forever.
Yeah. So I guess I'm trying to help people understand. The challenge for people is the system's really smart and it makes money out of you, but it doesn't want you to know how it makes money out of you, because once it's exposed, you can reject it and make your own money like it makes money from you.
Exactly, and also, where do you get your education from? The system.
The system creates,
So that's
propaganda.
That's the tricky part. I mean, people joke about this all the time. Like in school, I'm not against learning any of the stuff we learn in school. Pythagorean theorem, very useful if you want to be even a carpenter. Very useful stuff. How flowers work, I still remember that to this day. It's very interesting. People should know about the world around them, and people should learn these things. But, you know, what is money? How do loans work? How would a mortgage work? Like, very basic stuff. You know, I remember taking a class called Life Skills. Now, I went to British school. It was called Life Skills back in my day. And what the hell did we learn in Life Skills? The fact that I don't remember, I think speaks volumes. It speaks more than if I could give you an example. So, it's very scary that the system is in charge of your education, and people don't seem to be learning the most basic things about how any of this works.
And the paradox of that is people like yourself and Andrew, who are teaching this stuff, are starting to become very powerful.
Yes, indeed we are. Powerful and also in jail. So interesting how that works. You know, I can't say too much on the topic, but it's very interesting when you start upsetting the people who've been running this scam for hundreds of years and upsetting the system, I guess, that we're all a part of, that out of nowhere, I mean, Elon Musk just got hit with a bunch of criminal charges. They're trying to put Donald Trump in jail. I was in jail. There probably even won't be a trial, but they certainly screwed with me for a couple years. It's a back off warning, I guess. It's a do not touch. And I don't know what else to do besides continue doing what I'm doing, because, you know, the success stories of people who, you know, subscribe to the online school that we run or read your books, the success stories keep you going. It's just like, okay, this young man's now making money because of something I've taught him. Screw it, send me to jail. Like, what else can I do? I can't quit.
So do you think you were in jail because of things you did, or were you in jail because of the crossfire from Andrew?
It's tricky. I mean, when you try to use people's pasts against them, everyone knows my past. I've talked about it very openly on the internet. I mean, I used to run a webcam studio. I used to be a serial womanizer. So, and there's lots of women in my past. So it's a very easy attack vector. Let's throw him in jail and talk to all his exes. Luckily, I've always been a gentleman, and none of my exes said anything bad about me. 0 girls who ever worked at my studios are involved in the current case, by the way. People on the Twitter keep trying to make that connection. Oh, he said he ran webcam studios. Excuse me, there are tens of thousands of OnlyFans management agencies in this world now. Who controls them? Arrest all them for human trafficking. The point is, it's not illegal. Immoral? Sure. Good for society? Probably not. But it's a completely legal business, and that's not connected with my case at all. What they're trying to do is talk to all my exes and say, I don't know, has he ever hurt you? Luckily, I've always been a good guy, so I looked like I was easy to attack. The case hasn't really formulated the way they wanted because my past was much cleaner than they thought. Never tried any drugs, never did anything illegal. So it's hard to say whose fault it was that I was in jail. The way I lived didn't contribute to me looking like a saint. But I also do believe if Andrew had not got so big or so popular, this wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have been worth anyone's time. If Andrew had never become so wealthy and so popular and so listened to, it would not have been worth anyone's time to be calling 200 of my ex-girlfriends. It doesn't make any sense. Why do that? For what? You're not going to get money out of it. You're not going to get headlines out of it. You're not going to look like a hero. I'm just Joe Schmo. So I guess it's both of our fault. It's both of our fault, and we were in jail together, and that's the way I like it. So yeah. Fine by me.
So we'll come back to that in a minute, but I just want to pull out something you said, which is really interesting. You said a womanizer and a gentleman.
Yeah.
So when you said you were a womanizer, but you're a gentleman, to me a womanizer isn't a gentleman, so what's a womanizer?
So I'm talking about, look, I come from a very bad part of England. You know where I come from, the Council Estates of Luton.
Not far down from me.
Yeah, not fair enough. It's not a good area, and I made money very slowly, I guess, and I've experienced all the different wealth brackets on the way up. And, you know, you give a young man in his mid-20s, or I think I was just past my mid-20s when I first became a millionaire. You know, I'm driving around in a Lamborghini. I'm living in first London, then Slovakia, then Romania. There's lots of pretty girls around. Of course, I met loads of women. Of course I met loads of women. That's what you get. It's like giving a chimpanzee a machine gun. Like, of course that's what I was going to do. I live a very different lifestyle now, but what could I have done? I look back on it like, oh, I shouldn't have acted that way, but no one at the time could have told me. Even my future self couldn't go back in time at 26 and say, Tristan, it's Saturday night, don't go to the club and don't meet any women. I wouldn't have listened. So when I say a womanizer and a gentleman, what I mean is, you know, I met a lot of women, dated a lot of women, took a lot of women to bed, but I never mistreated any woman. So, you know, pick them up in your car, take them out to dinner, buy them flowers, take them home, do this 2 or 3 times, you know, and the relationship kind of fades into nothing and it's on to the next one. So, but those women, when contacted by the authorities, had nothing bad to say about me. Certainly nothing illegal I ever did. They didn't even want to lie for the intention of trying to extort me. Everyone they called said I was a nice guy. So, yeah, I was a womanizer and a gentleman. Never mistreated anybody. Broke a few hearts, but had mine broken a couple times along the way too. So
is that not
it's
life
fair.
Is called?
Exactly. No matter what you do, that's what happens.
Yeah. So how does a woman keep a man like Tristan Tate?
Oh, that's incredibly tricky. I didn't actually expect these kind of questions. How does a woman keep a man like Tristan Tate? You know, I'm going to cop out and give a really crappy answer to this, and you're not going to be entertained by it. I don't believe I could describe my perfect woman, because when I look at all of my exes and the women who I was in love with and the women who I did have serious relationships with, they never fit one exact type, whether it be in looks or personality or their charms, their jobs, education levels. There was no real correlation I can draw. It was just a feeling I got from them. You don't have to be my type to be my type. I can describe the physically perfect woman if I like. I mean, I like tall, kind of slim model types, but not all of my exes fit into that, and it's not just about looks. I think they just gave me something, a really good feeling I had around them. They brought me peace. They didn't fight with me, they didn't argue with me, they didn't make scandals or blow my phone up or cause arguments over stupid little things. Like, I'm a businessman and you understand what that's like. I'm at war all the time, 24/7. I'm operating at 99% stress level, 365 days a year. So if you want to add 1% stress to my life each day, that's just not doable. No one can operate at 100% stress level. Nobody can. And people, I guess my exes and the girls who I really liked just were very, very nice. Very nice, very kind, very kind of emotionally giving people. I think that's how you keep a man like me.
Do you think you will ever settle down?
Yeah, I think I will. I look at the trajectory of my life, and will I be married in the next couple of years? Who knows? Prenup, obviously, Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's certainly going that direction. I feel like as a man who's lived this kind of strange, eclectic life, you go through these phases and you get bored of certain things. Now, there's nothing I want to do less than go out 7 days a week and meet 3 new women in those 7 days. Like, Jesus, really? All the drinks, all the hangovers, I can't be bothered with that. So
I have been told by people we both mutually know you still like a good drink.
Oh, I do like a good drink. I love a good drink, but it's very different now. Now it's like, I'm sitting around with my friends, let's drink 6 bottles of whiskey. It's not like, let's go out. Well, it depends. If there's 3 of us, it's only two bottles per man, It's not that bad. So yeah, I still do love a drink, and I built up a tolerance over the years, but it's not part of my recreation in terms of going out and making the kind of parties. It's more sitting around discussing history and politics with my friends, playing chess, playing cards, drinking whiskey. That's when I like a drink now. So it's shifted. And I'm bored of the previous stages of my life. I'm literally bored of them. So settling down, I think, will probably happen. Yeah. Sooner rather than later, but I can't really say anymore because I have no certain answers.
Do you think, like, being with hundreds of women comes from a place of low
thousands,
Rob? Sorry.
Okay.
Cut, edit. Tristan, do you think being with tens of millions of women, do you think it's sometimes trying to fill a void in your own soul or fill up some emptiness that's there?
I've heard that before, and the answer is yes, in some people. Yes, in some people. So when I say I like drinking alcohol with my friends because it enhances our conversations about history and politics and makes the card games more fun, also there are people who use alcohol to fill a hole in their soul. I don't have a hole in my soul. So when I was running around meeting a bunch of beautiful women, I come from a time when I was a nightclub bodyguard in London, one of the doormen, and I'd see these millionaires with all these beautiful girls, and I couldn't talk to them. 1, I was at work. 2, I made £100 a day. This kind of girl probably wasn't interested in hanging out with me. So it didn't come from a point of trying to fill my soul with anything. I just enjoyed doing it. I just enjoyed meeting new women. I enjoyed hanging out with them. It wasn't just the sexual side of things. I enjoyed taking them to dinner, having them on my arm, going to the theater, going to the ballet. It was nice. I wasn't trying to fill a hole in my soul, but I do 100% agree that some people are trying to do that. But same could be said with alcohol. Same could be said with many things.
Did I hear you say you were glad you went to jail?
Did I say that? Yeah, I probably said that.
So when I say did I know you did because I saw it. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I think I've said it twice. 1, I'm glad I went to jail with Andrew. I'm glad he wasn't sent to jail without me, because that would have been a travesty. It's already a travesty of justice as it is, but at least send me with him, Glad I went to jail. Yes, I'd never been to jail. And I tried to think into the future and look back at my life as a 65, 70-year-old man although being in jail at the time bothered me a lot, even now that I'm out, God knows if they'll send me back. Hopefully not, it doesn't look like it. But I think it was a very interesting chapter of my life. This is certainly, for a 3-month period, one of the foundational stories that will be told about me and Andrew in the decades to come, the time that we were thrown in prison unjustly. So even though it was only 3 months of time, yeah, I'm glad I went. It was a test of character. I passed the test of character to myself and to God, to no one else, because obviously no one else was watching. And yeah, I think one day when I write my autobiography, it's going to be a very interesting 3 or 4 chapters. So I'm glad I went through it. I mean, it was January, February, and March of 2023. What would I have done anyway? Went skiing? I can't ski. I just sit in the ski resort drinking whiskey, trying to, watch everyone else do the skiing and sit by the fireplace. What would I have really done that could have taught me more than going to jail?
So what were the benefits of going to jail?
Oh, I mean, there were basically no benefits in that regard.
Well, there weren't any luxurious benefits, but there were character benefits.
Yes, it didn't change me, but it confirmed to me all the things I already thought about myself. Now I know them about myself. So
surely going from thinking about yourself to knowing yourself is fucking powerful.
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah. I'm a kind of guy, and I feel like I can handle any situation. I can handle anything. I'm Tristan Tate, and I've been saying this for years, and I've been through some difficult situations in my life, but being picked up from just after Christmas Day in your fancy clothes, and you're taken down to a police station, they're like, oh, we're searching your house for human trafficking. I'm like, well, good, there's no one in my house. There's no drugs in my house. Nothing. They searched my house, and it was okay. Then the handcuffs went on, they put me in jail, and they said, okay, you'll be here at least 24 hours. And that went on for 92 days. So it was a mentally tough situation to be in, and yeah, I thought, I'm Tristan Tate, I can handle any situation. Now I'm like, yeah, I can handle any situation. So having thoughts about who I was and confirming who I was, I guess, is the biggest thing I got out of it.
Mm. So I talked quite a lot to Andrew leading up to this.
Okay.
And one thing he said to me was, I'm pissed off with myself, Rob, because there's things I really want to say that I haven't said.
Yeah.
And lawyers, whatever reasons. Is there anything about the case that you haven't said? That you can say?
Is there anything I haven't said that I can say? No, there's things I haven't said that I'd really love to say.
But you
I'd
can't
really
say.
love to say, no, I can't put them out right now.
Does that not fucking frustrate you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I know that my time is going to come, and one day, everybody, whether they find me guilty on zero evidence and put me in jail or not, as soon as the case is over, the entire world is going to know exactly why this happened.
Why did it happen?
Who set the dogs on me, what the dogs' names were. Like, let's just put it that way.
So you know the dogs' names?
And the handler who let them off the chain.
Right. And that's what you can't say?
Well, it's one of the things I can't say. Yeah. I literally wish I could say it, and
yeah.
I can't say anything right now. But when the case is over, I won't even have to say anything. Everything is going to be on the table, and everybody will be able to look, and I think everyone's going to be very, very shocked at the process that's led me here. I mean, I was falsely accused originally 1 year and 9 months ago. 1 year and 9 months. I was arrested 1 year and 1 month ago. I'm still under a form of arrest now. I'm still under arrest now. And yeah, the fact that this has lasted so long is the big mystery. That's the big mystery. Everyone's like, well, the people who like me are quite right in saying, if he was guilty of human trafficking, they'd have locked him up and convicted him and put him in jail by now, because that's what the people who attacked me wanted to do. And the people who hate me are actually wrong in saying, oh, well, it's still going on because they're going to find him guilty eventually. No one is ever, 2 years from initial event, still there's not even a decision about if there will be a trial or not. That decision hasn't been made. So it's a very long time in my life, and the reason why it took so long is going to be the big wow moment.
Well, because I was just going to ask you, is it taking so long part of the process of what they want to achieve?
Yeah, exactly. And how they've done it is going to be the mind-blowing part, when everyone's like, oh, wow.
Can I come back to Romania for that one then?
Yeah,
come
sure.
and have another chat with you.
I've been in Romania a while. When this is over, let's meet in Dubai.
Yes, I know better.
I'll come to you, you know?
Yeah.
But that's going to be the mind-blowing moment. How it was done, how it was orchestrated to last so long, and who did it. That's going to be the interesting part.
That is the filthiest of cliffhangers.
Yeah. Too bad.
Yeah, and I wouldn't push any harder than that. I've got to push a bit. I've got to do my job.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Does anything shock you about your rise to infamy?
I would actually correct your question, because we are infamous, 100%, but we're also heroes to a massive percentage of a generation. So we are infamous, but we're also very, very well liked. Depends who you're asking. But in terms of the state hating me, etc., like the old pirates were, we are infamous in that way. Yeah, I'm very surprised at how evil they've painted, I guess, my brother, me by extension. I like to think of myself as a very good person, and my brother, again, is a very good person, a very moral person, a very kind person, a very charitable person, a person who's always willing to help, who's always willing to lift others up, always willing to take my time to teach people lessons in life that may benefit them. And I've always seen myself and my brother this way. So when I look at the old videos of him, like, yeah, if a girl attacked me with a machete, I kilo the machete out of her hand, and I look at his stupid old videos and they're like, Andrew Tate attacks women with machetes. I'm like, first of all, how dishonest is this? First of all, how dishonest is this to find one clip from people who've been producing content on the internet now 11 years and say that this is the core of his message? Attack people with machetes. He was talking about self-defense. It was a joke. It's stupid. But that's the core of his message. It's the rise to infamy hasn't surprised me from the moment I realized how dishonest the mainstream media are. Once I saw how dishonest they could be about him, now I'm like, okay, say whatever you like about me, I don't know. Human trafficker, murderer, misogynist, you can say whatever you like about me now and I will not be shocked. I will not be surprised, because I know how evil they are and how dishonest they really are. Because the core of Andrew's message, and you're obviously someone who knows this, I'd like to think, is be better, do better, treat others well, go to the mosque. That's Andrew's message. I'm not Muslim myself, but that's the core of Andrew's message. So he's not an evil person. The rise to infamy has been a shock, an absolute shock, because I was like, why on earth would they want to lie about someone so obviously and so blatantly, but also in such a horrible way, It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect Andrew, but our mother, we don't need that. People thinking that her sons are arch criminals who kidnap people and stab people with machetes, especially at a time when in the UK every single day someone is in fact stabbed with a machete and these people are unnamed. But Andrew's joke from 10 years ago is the height of machete madness. It's very strange.
But you know why now.
Oh, now I know why. Yeah, of course I know.
Yeah.
Very obvious.
Yeah. Wow. What's a story you've never told or a secret you've never shared?
A story I've never told or a secret I've never shared. I'm a very open person. I don't really have, I know it sounds like I'm being defensive. I don't really have any stories I wouldn't tell or any secrets I wouldn't share.
But maybe you just haven't had the opportunity. I think we've got one from Andrew. There must be something in your life that's just not come out yet. Or something you believe you don't talk about much, maybe because of the types of interviews you do. And if you did a different type of interview, we might get to know something about you.
That's a tricky question. I can tell you things about me that people think that aren't accurate, and I haven't had a chance to clear them up. I mean, I can name a few things.
Please.
People always assume that me and Andrew, I don't know why, they group us in with this online community of what they call red pillars, and they believe that I hate women and I look down on women. That is actually one of the most offensive things that anyone can say about me, when really I don't hate any woman. I don't care if a woman is a actress, or if a woman is a prostitute, or if a woman is a virgin or a nun. I don't hate any of them, and the fact that you can say that I do means that you listen to nothing that I say. Obviously, don't marry a porn star, but porn stars exist because they fulfill a role in society. Don't marry a prostitute, but prostitutes exist because they serve a role in society. I'm actually tired of the red pill community who they're always trying to group me in with, trying to change women. They get a bunch of girls who are promiscuous on a panel and they say, yeah, you should act like wives and you should. No, they shouldn't. No. Marry the wives. The wives aren't sitting on your podcasts. Let them do their thing and stop hating on everybody. Stop being so rude towards women. So I think the fact that I appreciate women and don't hate them is one of the most annoying rumors about me that I never ever get the chance to clear up. But, well, there it is. That really offends me when people say that I hate women.
Well, hopefully this clears it up.
Oh, we'll see. I don't know. But stories about me, secrets about me, I don't have any secrets. I don't have any secrets. I've got loads and loads of cool stories, because every man has cool stories, and I've got hundreds of cool stories. But you know, I don't know.
What's your coolest story?
My coolest story. I've got an embarrassing story.
What's your most embarrassing story?
I've got a very embarrassing story. I've never told it on a podcast. So
Okay.
if you have 3 minutes, I'll tell you this story.
I flew here for you, so I have more than 3 minutes.
Wonderful. I'll tell you this story because it's actually the most embarrassing time in my life, and it's actually a lesson I learned. So I'm going to turn this around to a lesson for young men about having a big ego and acting like you're the man when you're clearly not. And I guess, so long story short, I was here in Bucharest about 6 or 7 years ago. I just moved here, and a friend of mine came to visit from New York City. So he'd taken me out in New York before, so I thought, oh, well, he's in Bucharest, I'm going to show him a good time. And the nightlife here is absolutely amazing, so I booked the best table, and I needed some women around. I don't pay for women. People assume I do because I'm rich. I don't. So I called every girl I know who I'm friends with, and I said, bring some of your friends to this table. So I called too many, and about 50 different women turn up, all looking their absolute best. I'm there with this guy, and he's mind blown. And my ex shows up, a girl I used to date. And she looks incredible. She did it on purpose to get me, to trick me. She turns up looking like $1 million, absolutely gorgeous. I'm like, why did I stop talking to her? Am I stupid? So by coincidence, my friend, we'll call him James for this part. I'm not going to name him. My friend James starts talking to this girl's friend. And I'm like, good. Boom, done deal. He likes her friend. I'm going to get back with her. Everything's going to work out perfectly fine. So because I had people visiting my house, I decided to go to a hotel, to get a hotel room for me and my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend, and a hotel room for them too, and we'd stay there tonight and get back to my house in the morning. So here's where, you know, the Bible said, pride cometh before the fall. So I thought I was the man. I turn up at this hotel, beautiful woman on my arm, and the guy, I mean, a little bit rude, gives me this piece of paper for tourists to fill out. It's some English language piece of paper for the government to measure tourism information. I was like, bro, I live here. I speak your language. I live here. I don't need to fill that out. I'm not a tourist. He goes, do you have a Romanian passport? I said, no. He goes, you have to fill it in. I said, bro, just give me the rooms. Here's the money. Let's go. No. You can't have the rooms until you and him fill these in. So I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I thought I was the man at this point. I said, all right, get the pen. Name, Captain Dickhead. Passport number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom, money. Give me the keys. Okay, cool. He took my bits of paper. So I go upstairs. It's now getting to 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm drunk. She's drunk. Everyone's drunk. So we start kissing, making out, and she's like, oh, do you have protection? I'm like, well, I don't. It's at my house. Obviously, we're in a random hotel. So she says, okay. And I said, yeah, fine. We won't sleep together tonight, no problem at all. So we sit there talking for another 2 hours. It gets to about 6:30 in the morning. We drank everything in the minibar, from the Romanian palinka to the whiskey to the vodka. So she starts climbing on top of me, kissing me again, taking my shirt off, this kind of stuff. And we get down to like, I'm in my underwear, and she's like, do you have protection? I'm like, but you know I don't. So, and then I had this bright idea. I said, James will have some. I know James will have some. So I run out of the hotel room in my underwear, go into the hallway, walk down the hallway, knock on James's door, who's an American, and I hear a Romanian man say, who's that knocking on the door? So I run around the corner, terrified, because I think, I'm going to call him in my underwear. So I'm hiding around the corner, still got a rock hard on, in my underwear, and I look around the corner, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know where James's room is. But then I realize, I don't know what room I just came out of. And the hallway all looks the same. Red carpet, red doors. So I'm creeping down this hallway going, psst, James, psst, the girl's name, I'm not going to say it on the podcast. And no one comes out to save me. So it's 7 o'clock in the morning, sun's coming up, rock hard on in my pants, in my underwear. I get in the elevator, I'm going down the stairs. And obviously the door opens to a group of 40 Chinese tourists with cameras around their necks. I'm standing there swaying, giving them the old, don't take pictures of me face. So I turned the corner and I was like, bro, what room number am I in? I kid you not, this man shuffles his papers, looks me dead in the eye and goes, so you must be Captain Dead. I've never felt more ashamed in my life. He didn't even let me off. I'm like, yes, passport number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, bro, that's me. Room 406. I never forgot the number to this day. Most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me. So young man, listen, put your egos aside and just fill out the bits of paper when the hotel guy asks you to, because that was a horrible story. I think if you wrote that scene into a movie, they'd think it was fake. But yeah, true story.
Well,
there you go. An embarrassing story I've now shared with the world, courtesy of Mr. Rob Moore.
Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
I'm a visual guy, so there's still some things going on in my head there.
Yeah.
What scares you the most?
I wouldn't openly say I'm scared of anything. Like, I'm not scared of things. I don't swim in oceans. I almost got killed by a fish once, long story. So I don't swim in oceans, I'll jump.
Saying a shark would sound better, wouldn't it?
No,
it
wasn't.
By a fish.
No, yeah.
I
almost got killed by a fish.
That should be the story.
It is a very good story. I should share it with you one time. But yeah, a fish almost killed me, basically. So I don't go in oceans. I mean, obviously, everyone on Earth can say, oh, I'm scared of my mom dying, and, you know, inevitable things that will eventually happen to all of us, sadly. But do I really sit around scared of anything? For example, I'm not scared of going to jail right now. I don't operate in the realm of fear. Like, God's going to deal me the cards that he's going to deal me, and that's going to be it. So no heights, nothing. No, nothing. I'm not scared of anything. I wouldn't parachute jump. I don't fly in helicopters. But I wouldn't say I'm
Why don't you fly in helicopters?
Statistics.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I got 2 pilots licenses and then stopped.
Yeah?
Yeah, well,
you know the statistics.
I know the statistics.
They're very bad. And am I scared of helicopters, though? No. I wouldn't use that word, but there are things I don't do. Don't swim in deep oceans. Don't fly in helicopters. I wouldn't bungee jump or skydive just because, you know, some little Indonesian man whose job it is to hold a big rubber band over a bridge in a river. I'm like, I've worked so hard my entire life, and now I'm just gonna leave it in the hands of this rubber band guy? Like, no, I'd rather not. Could I do it? 100% guarantee of safety. Could I do it? Yeah, of course, but there are no 100% guarantees. No, I'm not scared of anything.
Andrew, the first time I had him on my show, and then after that, got to know him, was pretty convinced he was going to be assassinated. We just talked about it again. And, you know, he sort of danced away from it by saying, I'm being digitally assassinated. Are you not scared of that?
Of Andrew getting assassinated?
Andrew being assassinated? I mean, he thinks that's a thing.
Do I think it's a possibility?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yes, I do.
Does that scare you?
Well, the idea of... Do you have a brother?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. Do you have a sister?
Yes.
The idea of your sister dying is not pleasant.
No.
So, but do you wake up every day scared of the fact that she might die? No, so I'm not, like, I understand Andrew's security concerns, but it's one of those, I mean, I'm everywhere with him. If they, you know, blow us up, I'm getting blown up too, I guess. If they open a spray of bullets, I'm probably going to catch a few. Am I scared of it happening? No. I've done my best to protect myself. I'm very careful about my locations, where I am. I've got security guards. I've done all I can do. And I don't think Andrew's going to get assassinated. I feel like when he talks about his 3 steps, first they cancel you, then they throw you in jail, then they assassinate you thing, he's completely correct. I feel like there was a time when Andrew was public enemy #1. Everyone was making this huge deal around Andrew Tate. And going to jail, I guess, trying to tarnish our name, has at least given them... He's no longer the public enemy #1. And with the 2024 elections coming up, there are going to be a lot more people who say a lot more things that are dangerous to the establishments and the people who are really in charge. And yeah, I don't think that Andrew's going to be on their hit list. Do I want him to get assassinated? No.
Well, no,
of course not.
I didn't ask you that question.
But you asked if I'm scared of that happening. No, I'm not scared of it happening. Is there a possibility it could happen? Yes. But I think that the time has now passed. The fire's died down a little bit, which is a good thing, I guess. So I can walk the streets more peacefully.
Yeah. Do you think there's enough love in the world?
No. And that's such a cliche answer, but I wouldn't even say the word love, because...
Or kindness, maybe.
I would say appreciation. There isn't enough appreciation for other people and what other people contribute to the society that you live in. You don't have to love the shopkeeper. You don't have to love the guy who's building this road outside right now. I see there's construction workers here. You don't have to love them. But I feel like to look down on anyone and to not appreciate what other people bring to a society is a very bad way of thinking, and there's not enough appreciation in the world anymore. So everyone has always loved their, I guess, family, their wife, husband, mother, father. But No, people don't appreciate each other enough.
Is appreciation a form of love?
It absolutely is. And all I can do is within my own little world and my own little community, and everyone who does anything for me, show them as much love and appreciation as I can. So I can't change the world, but you can change yourselves. You know, say please, say thank you to waiters. It's very basic. It's very basic stuff. I mean, I worked behind the counter and in the kitchen of a pret-a-manger. You know what that is, because you're British for 3 years or 3.5 years is my first ever job. And I still remember the 3 or 4 people who'd ever said nice things at work. I remember some old lady came up, I was working late at night, my shift was supposed to be finished, but legally when there are flight delays, you can't close down the food stores. So I was the only one there. And she came up and she'd written this really nice letter and said, give this to your manager tomorrow because I think you've done a really great job. I remember her face, I remember that moment. And isn't that nuts? Because that is now 17 years ago. And I still, because kindness and appreciation is something that men certainly don't get enough of. And I still remember that lady. And I still remember the people who were incredibly rude to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what's that saying? They'll long forget what you said, but never forget how you made them feel.
Yes, exactly. I remember I was training for that exact same job, working behind the till. And I'm good with math. Quick maths, I'm okay. I'm certainly okay. I was okay at the time. And this man came up to me, put some sandwiches, some coffee down on the table. And he worked as, I guess, a banker or something. I was somewhere in the financial district of London at the shop because the Luton Airport shop hadn't opened up yet. And he was wearing a nice suit and he put a bunch of things down on the table. I can't remember exactly what the total was, but it came to just over £10. And he gave me a 20, and then he got the little change out and gave it to me. So I could give him a £10 note. So I'm looking in the till where things are. There are no £10 notes and there are no £5 notes. And I'm looking like this for about 4 to 5 seconds. And he went, well, I guess if you had a degree in maths like me, you could probably do that. And I'm like, you think I didn't get the math of what you just did? You think I didn't know to give you a £10 note back? But I'm 16, like I was a kid. And this dude in a suit was getting mad to a little kid wearing a red cap. And there were no 10 or £5 notes. I just remember thinking, what a horrible guy.
Yeah.
So I guess my revenge is that if he was a man working in the city, he's probably been fired by now and I'm much richer than him. So if you're watching this, sir, don't be rude to people who work at sandwich shops. But my point is there's not enough appreciation because you still remember those moments. And now I'm 36 this year. I was doing that when I was 15, 16 years old. So yeah, you still remember that. So be kind to people.
And is revenge a form of success?
Success is a form of revenge. Success is the best form of revenge. I don't believe in getting revenge on anybody.
No.
I've had people screw me over for money, break my heart, upset me. It's a very...
So you do use success as a form of revenge?
Yeah, but I don't do it for the revenge. It just naturally happens. Any concept of trying to... Who was it that... I think it was Mahatma Gandhi. He said, being angry at someone is like holding a burning stone in your hand with the intention of throwing at them. Like it might do them some damage, but it will do you more damage first. I don't hold on to these.
But it could be fuel, though, couldn't it? I mean,
it can be, but I didn't ever need fuel. I didn't need fuel to go and make something of myself. It's just naturally happened as a form of revenge. I mean, people who have screwed me over for £200 many years ago and I argued with them and fell out with them are now watching me on the internet buying, you know, as Christmas bonuses, buying people who work for me Ferraris and Lamborghinis, thinking, shit, I should have stayed his friend, shouldn't have screwed him over for £200.
You bought someone who works for you a Ferrari as a Christmas bonus?
And a Lamborghini.
And a Lamborghini.
Two different people, yeah. They deserve it. They work incredibly hard.
Yeah.
They work incredibly hard. The videos are on Rumble right now. I just released them.
Right.
So the people who screwed me over in the past are now watching things like this thinking, oh, I wish I'd stayed friends with that guy. And I just don't care. I don't really think about them.
No.
And it's the same with, you know, ex-girlfriends. I mean, I lost girlfriends when I was 19, 20, 21. After they broke up with me, they started dating some older, more successful dude. I don't know where these girls are. I don't look them up. But they're my age now, 35. Hopefully they're happily married with kids. But if they're not, they're probably looking at me thinking, ooh, that was a boat I missed. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe they don't think about me. But success is a form of revenge. I think it's the only form of revenge that any man should ever care about trying to reach because it's beneficial for you and it's the best form of revenge. Actually physically trying to hurt people, sue people, damage people, take any kind of revenge. It's got incel energy about it. You know what I mean? It's got, I guess I'll use the term, small dick energy. Oh, I need to get this person back. And it's Yeah, it's really stupid. So success is the only type of revenge worth having.
How did it make you feel when you gave people that work for you supercars?
It made me feel amazing. And it was kind of mind-blowing for me that I was in the position to do these things for others. But as I said, I wouldn't say give them supercars. I've rewarded their hard work for the year with a bonus, and as a bonus, I decided to buy them cars. But no, it made me feel very good. It made me feel very, I guess, proud of myself that I can do these kind of things.
Because a lot of people say, well, life is about giving, but you can't give what you haven't got.
Yes, exactly. And people say like money doesn't buy happiness, and the counter to that
said every broke person ever.
Said everyone with no money. Yeah. Well, my answer to this: let's pretend you meet a real anti-capitalist kind of hippie type of person. This is the kind of person who says this to me, and I've got one question that always stumps them. So they'll say they enjoy, for example, bumming around Asia, hitchhiking and picking fruit off the trees and whatever crap they're into, and meditating and taking weird, I don't know, smoking weird substances in India. But that kind of person. You know the type of person I'm talking about. Well, Tristan, money doesn't buy happiness. I say, well, what do you like to do? Well, I like to volunteer for charities and do this and travel. And I said, imagine how much more of it you could do if I gave you $10 million. Oh, money doesn't buy happiness. Why? Oh, I've got my mom and my kids, my family, and that's my happiness. Imagine how much happier you could make them and how much more time you could spend with them if I gave you $10 million. There's nothing anyone can name that makes them happy that they couldn't do more of, and to a greater extent, if I gave them $10 million. So that's the question that always stumps them when they say money doesn't buy happiness. I'm like, well, what do you enjoy that makes you happy? And they also is the cop-out of, well, I've got my dog and my daughter and my wife and my mom, and that's what I've got. And they assume every millionaire and billionaire doesn't have these things. I've got all those things too. Not a wife yet, but I have all those things too, and I've got hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's just better, and I don't like cop-outs.
Yeah, and what if your wife gets really ill? A dear friend of mine, we raised a lot of money for his wife, who in the end passed away, but to get her over into Europe to have emergency brain tumours removed was fucking expensive.
Exactly. My mother had a heart attack 3 weeks ago. Boom, Harley Street Medical, private surgeon, done. So yeah, it's better to have it and not want it than want it and not have it. So yeah, money is unfortunately, even basic things like health and healthcare.
You don't have free healthcare in UK anymore. Because you can't get in, so you have to pay twice. Exactly. You pay with your tax and you pay private.
Well, I had I was injured at a point in my life with my shoulder, and I had my shoulder's now made an almost full recovery. Who did my surgery? I won't say his name, but same guy
but
who
did...
not
the NHS.
No, same guy who did Roger Federer's elbow. Same guy who did Conor McGregor's leg. I've seen the photos of them in his office. That guy did my shoulder, now it's perfect. Some NHS surgeon quickly butchering my arm. God bless them, they're hardworking people, but they're overworked, underpaid, too many people coming to them. Their waiting lists are too long. The hospitals are dirtier. People are dying from these hospital bugs and stuff. I'm not cursing NHS surgeons. They're wonderful people and they do a very important job. But going to a nice, clean hospital in Dubai, you walk in, it's filled with trees and fountains. It's a different experience. So healthcare again, money buys. They actually say money doesn't buy health. Well, it doesn't.
It does. The richest people over time have lived the longest.
Exactly. So it doesn't buy health in the way that anybody at any time can get terminal brain cancer. It doesn't matter how much money you have. But
you got this guy, Brian Johnson, spending $2 million a year on his health.
Exactly.
And people live longer because they can afford it.
You're absolutely right. And even if they don't try to live longer, when something goes wrong, they've got a much better chance of making it. Yeah. So money does buy health.
Yeah. Here's something I've thought about a lot. I don't know if I've articulated it in this way, but a lot of people get really pissed off with rich people.
Yeah.
And they think that nurses, etc., should be paid more.
Yes.
Well, rich people pay their staff well. You've just proved it. You give them bonuses of supercars.
Exactly.
Who are nurses paid by? The fucking government.
Exactly. So get mad at
So if the government was a private institution and not a public service, the good nurses would be paid a lot more money because that's how private pays.
You're completely right. But unfortunately, the systems like the NHS, the post office, etc., they're not meritocracies. A good nurse and a bad nurse, have set salaries. And I guess the way it works is very unfair. And, people say things like, oh, nurses should get millions, not footballers. And I'm like, here's why you're wrong. I mean, in an ideal world, sure. But here's why they're wrong. the same people, and I know them, the pub-going, good-hearted, down-to-earth Englishmen, like, many people many people I know, would be like, oh yeah, they're paying these football players all this money, the nurses should be getting more. I'm like, how often have you ever shown appreciation or given attention to nursing? Ever? Because you'll sit and watch the game every single day. You'll watch football for 3 or 4 hours a day.
And all the gambling ads that come on.
And where does the money come from for these footballers? You buying the Man United t-shirts, etc., etc. Why not? Just as an idea, any budding entrepreneurs out there, why don't you start selling t-shirts that say, nurses are the backbone of Britain? And when people walk around wearing those t-shirts, you can get that money and give it to nurses. But let me tell you something, no one's going to buy them. So don't do it. But people will buy their favorite footballer's shirt. So it's an attention economy. And I'm like, when have you ever said anything nice about nurses besides just now in your 48 years? Never? Okay, well, shut the up then. You watch football every Sunday. Of course they get money. They've got your attention. So people are wrong in the most fundamental and most basic way. And it's not them being bad people. It's just, I think, a lack of understanding of how things work and how money's made.
So I did a live rant saying that ADHD doesn't exist, and I got fucking slammed for it.
Oh, I bet you did.
Yeah. Do you think ADHD is a real thing, or do you think it's somewhat created by Big Pharma for profit?
Do I want to get assassinated today? No, I'm kidding.
Well, you were right.
Sorry, it was his idea. He said it first. No, I think that...
No, we'll just cut me out and put you on the shore for TikTok.
That probably will happen. Look, human behaviors and human emotionalities and human energy levels are on a massive spectrum, an absolutely massive spectrum. You could say someone like me is far less emotional than the type of person who cries at sad romantic comedies. Of course, yeah, so that's a spectrum. What I don't like is, when do you take this natural variation in humans and start saying it's a disease? For example, I'm a loving, feeling person, love my mom, love my brother, haven't cried in my adult life, maybe once, but let's just say you take me, yes, and you make someone who's a little bit less emotional, a little bit more stoic than me. Psychopath, sociopath. Whoa. When do you, or anyone on this spectrum, as all of us humans are, get to start naming people's different normal states as diseases? ADHD is one. ADHD. Some people can be more focused than other people. Let's break it down very simple. Some people have more energy than other people. When do you get to this scale and be like, okay, that kid is, super energetic, wants to be up all the time, can't focus as well as this kid, but here, that's now a disease, and we need to start giving them drugs. I don't like any of that. Any kind of emotional disease. So again, someone's super emotional. Take the woman who I was talking about who cries at romantic comedy movies. Let's get someone a little bit more emotional than her, who cries at sad thoughts of things that happen. Okay, manic depressive. It really worries me because it's very normal. It's not like all humans have 2 legs. If you have 1 leg, you're an amputee. If you have 3 legs, you have a deformity. That's math, and that's science, and that's true. And some people do have 1 leg, and I guess there probably are some people with 3 legs out there. You either are an amputee, something's gone wrong, or you have a deformity. The brain doesn't work that way. The brain isn't simple that way. So I'm sick of big pharmaceutical companies and doctors looking at the natural variation in humans and drawing these weird lines where this is a disease that needs that drug, this is a disease that needs that drug, and trying to keep everyone within this little box. It really upsets me. And the super emotional people, I've been called a psychopath before. Oh, you're a psychopath because, I was in jail and I didn't care and I just stoic about it, didn't give a shit, I was in jail. Oh, psychopath, you can't feel emotions. Well, I actually can. Maybe not as well as you. I don't know what it's like to have your brain, but don't start labeling me as somebody who's sick and somebody who needs pills. So to answer your question in short, I know that was a very comprehensive answer. ADHD is bullshit.
Well, I was talking to Will I Am, and he said that really it's just bad teaching. All these kids with ADHD, it's just bad teachers who can't keep their attention because the fucking computer game can keep their attention for a week.
That is a very good point. Well done to Will I Am. But yeah, you're right. They'll sit on a computer game for 8 hours.
So they haven't got attention deficit disorder.
They've got a lack of respect for authority, bad parenting, and they've probably got bad, boring teachers. Yeah. I remember my science teacher to this day. His name was Mr. Subha Singh. I don't know where he was from, probably Indonesia or something he looked like. But very interesting teacher. Kept the lessons fun. Science was my favorite topic. Why? Did I go on to be a scientist? No. Went on to be a businessman. Why was business not my favorite topic? Because Mr. Subha Singh was super entertaining and super interesting and made the lessons fun. So yeah, you're completely right.
All right. Is happiness the purpose of life?
No. Happiness is the purpose of life if you want it to be. If you want to have a happy life, go ahead and do it. But I don't think chasing happiness is going to lead to anywhere positive. Happiness is the purpose of life, but not for yourself. Let me make sure that my children are happy. Let me make sure my mother is happy. Let me make sure any woman who comes into my life is happy. Let me even, because men don't have each other's backs these days, make my friends, my male friends, as happy as I can with my friendship and my companionship. But nothing about my quest for happiness is about, I guess, personal happiness. I do the things I like to do. I like to drive fast cars. I do these things because they entertain me. But I don't wake up every day trying to be happy. I'm sure my brother's made the exact point I'm going to make, so I won't repeat himself. I won't repeat him. I wasn't even here for the podcast, but he's probably made a point about chase being proud every morning. Wake up every morning and think, how can I make myself proud of myself today? I've trained twice today already, and I got here at 3 p.m. I'm proud of myself. Did it make me happy running on that treadmill for an hour? No, it was horrible. So I don't think happiness is the purpose of life for men. I think men should be trying to make everyone else happy. It's very ironic actually that they'll call old-fashioned men like me who want to provide for their women and not maybe have their woman have a job and provide for his family in the traditional way. They'll say like, oh, you just want your woman to be a slave for you. Okay, she might make a few sandwiches. Okay, she might cook a few meals. She might change a few diapers. But if I'm working 18-hour days, 7 days a week, I am the slave. I am the one. I am the slave in this situation.
You don't, yeah.
I serve people. That's what I do. The people in my life, I serve them. And by exchange, they serve you back. Your daughter can make you happy, your wife can make you happy, girlfriend, mother, they can make you happy too. And just seeing the smiles on their faces is often enough for men. It's often enough.
What's the thing that's hurt you the most?
Oh, my father dying, obviously. That's a question I didn't have to think about. He died 7.5, 8 years ago now.
So Andrew said to me, I think it was off air, he said, you're not a man until your father has died. It triggered me a bit because my dad hasn't died. And I think I'm a man, not just biologically. I think I tick some boxes,
I'm sure.
Beyond just the biological.
I wouldn't be sitting here if you weren't. So.
Yeah. But it did really get me to think, because my dad just turned 80 and he's been f***ing ill for so many years and he's defied all the odds. So, but I know, like, I'm not here being interviewed, but the scariest thought for me is the day my dad goes. That just scares the shit out of me.
Well, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to upset you, when you said, oh, because my dad hasn't died, you mean he hasn't died yet. And the natural order of humanity is that he will die before you. So it is going to happen. Sadly, that's just an unfortunate fact of life. You say the same thing about my mother.
Well, it should be the order of life.
It should be.
Some people lose their children.
And when it's not, when the natural order goes in the wrong direction, that is a real tragedy. Being your age and losing your 80-year-old father is sad, but it's not a tragedy. Being your age and losing your 18-year-old son is a tragedy because it shouldn't happen that way. And you are a man. And Andrew is also right, because the full experience of being a man, let's say being the patriarch and I guess the head of the family with no older generations to look up to, is a part of being a man that you haven't experienced yet. You may have mastered the other 99%, but you can still go to your dad for advice. There's still an older member of your family, a man in the male lineage above you in seniority who's lived 30, 40 more years than you and knows things you don't, and you can go to him. It's kind of a lonely feeling. I mean, I have Andrew, but we're the same age, essentially. It's kind of an isolating feeling at first, but I do get what Andrew says, that you're not a man, let's say not a complete man until your father dies, because that one little missing part, when you are now the guy, I am now the guy forever. I have no grandfathers left. I have no father left. I am the guy forever that all of my kids and all of their kids will look up to for male guidance. And there's no one I can go to. So it's a very interesting part of manhood that and I feel like God forbid, hopefully in a very long time, when it happens, you'll understand what I just said better.
Yeah, I think I probably will. I feel that I will.
Yeah. Well, you're a smart guy. You'll get it. It will register in your head. A couple of years afterwards, you'll be like, yeah, this is different to how it was before. And Tristan was correct.
What's the closest to breaking point you've ever been?
You know the meme? It's an internet meme where it's Jesus Christ on the right, and it's always someone crying about their problems. Like, why do you always give me the hardest battles? And Jesus is like, listen, just turn off the TV and go outside. I saw one where there was like some psychotic weirdo with crazy hair saying, give me harder battles. And Jesus Christ is like, Jesus, what the fuck's wrong with you? And that made me laugh, and it kind of reminds me of me. And I brag, and people who watch this, you can take it or leave it. I don't care if you believe me. And people will be like, yeah, Tristan, maybe I'm putting on a tough guy act. You don't get to where I get to, and you don't go through the things I went through and maintain this position unless you are incredibly strong. I've never been anywhere close to breaking point.
Never?
Ever.
Nothing?
Nothing. I can't think of a single time.
So is that something that was born in you, or it was how you were raised?
I think it's a combination of both. It's a combination of both. I could have been raised in a much softer way. I could have, I don't know, taken up professional snooker instead of professional kickboxing. I feel like that certainly added a lot to it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know, but that is how I am. I can't think of a single time I've been anywhere near breaking point.
Not in jail?
No, nowhere near. Nowhere near. In fact, in jail, I laughed more in jail than I was laughing here. It's hilarious. Human trafficking? Jesus, this is funny. You want a cigarette, Andrew? Especially when I was put in the same room with him. Jesus, it was hilarious. Like, I know I shouldn't say that, but imagine, okay, I assume you're not a human trafficker, right?
You are correct in your assumption.
Wonderful, great. Imagine one day you're sitting there with your best mate in jail, accused of human trafficking, the news keeps calling you a human trafficker. Like, you could cry about it if you want, but also it was kind of hilarious. Like, if I was a real human trafficker, I'd be like, they're on to me. I was laughing daily. I found it hilarious. Talk about breaking point. Nowhere bloody near. Nowhere near.
All right.
That's my answer.
Yeah.
Never been close.
Right. Wow. AI. Do you think this is the nearest to the apocalypse we're getting, or the biggest opportunity maybe in the world ever, certainly since the internet?
Nuclear weapons have changed the game, obviously. But besides that, I'm a big history buff. I love history. You have to understand that it's very ignorant to be, because right now we live in a very special time. You know why the time is special? Because it's happening right now. But in 500 years, this time may or may not be relevant or special at all. And we're just part of this
in a million years, it won't be relevant.
It won't be
at
all.
Yeah.
And if humans are around at all. So we're part of this amazing story that currently this chapter is being told. But what you have to assume is, and what you have to think is, how many people throughout the 6,000 or whatever years of recorded history that we have in the world thought the world was ending? And not just thought the world was ending, for how many people did the world in fact end? You're Constantine the 11th and you're in the city of Constantinople in 1453. Someone's going to correct me if it's not 1453. The Ottomans have completely surrounded you. You ask for help from every Christian kingdom in Europe and you are told no. The world's ending, right? And then the world ended. They all got murdered. They died. The world did in fact end for the Byzantine Empire. That's the world over. The sacking of Rome. When you're British and you think Napoleon's fleet is going to invade the UK and kill you and your women and kids and just take over, and England's over and it's going to be France from now on. The world's ending, right? So when you look at history, you think, how many times have people, one, thought the world was ending, and two, also been correct? Because worlds have ended, you know? Ways of life, empires, worlds have ended many times. The only thing about this scary time is the world could in fact end. Nuclear weapons could wipe most people out. But then most people, okay, let's say you live in Rarotonga in the Cook Islands in the middle of the South Pacific. Will there still be fish? Maybe. You catch a few fish, you live a few thousand years, the sky clears up, you start agriculture again. Like, it's tricky. Civilization could end. A solar flare could wipe out all electronics. I don't know, but I don't feel we're any closer to the world ending than we've than necessarily we've been before. Because you can ask people for
cycles.
Yes, exactly. And in 500 years' time, you're like, oh, okay, those people back in 2024, these two countries were America and Russia, who have nuclear weapons, were arguing about this little area called Ukraine, and none of these places exist anymore and no one cares. They won't see it as the world almost ending. But the Cuban Missile Crisis, was that not the world almost ending? The Russian military turned back. JFK put the blockade in and didn't push the button. Was that the world almost ending? Yeah, sure. So, and that was in the 60s. I don't know. I don't think we're any closer to the world almost ending than we've been many, many times.
Yeah. One thing to add to that, though, and I don't know the military term for this, but there is the military term for I have a nuclear weapon, you have a nuclear weapon.
Mutually assured destruction.
There you go. You know that. Of course you do. But if we give that power away from a human who will die if they press it to an AI who won't, and the AI can make the choice, are we not a bit closer to the potential existential threat?
Yeah, sure. It's terrifying, and the concept of AI is terrifying. But I'm a believer in the ultimate goals of humanity. I believe that good will triumph over evil in the end. And my view with AI is probably the same as, again, let's take historical context. It's the Stone Age, right? I invent bronze. We're moving into the Bronze Age. You could say, as someone who doesn't like what I'm doing, hey, look, I know you're trying to advance technology, but that's really sharp. You could make loads of those into swords and go and stab people. And some people, when the Bronze Age came about, did in fact make bronze swords and stab everybody. But also, you know, the Greeks built civilizations and started having, you know, they invented democracy, and all these beautiful things happened because of the Bronze Age. So maybe we're moving into the AI age. And it's very easy to look at the negatives. Oh, well, they took this pop star and made it look like she's having sex. Oh my God, we need to ban AI because it's upset some people. The implications of what AI could do. Imagine you have engineers designing aircraft and buildings, and it takes months and years to design these. Imagine asking AI in the future, design the most efficient aircraft ever and how to build it. Boom, blueprints. Like, the implications of AI and what it can do are so much greater than what if the drone's controlled by AI and it kills a soldier? What if, yes, evil things can be done with technology. But you name me a technology from electricity to iron to steel that couldn't have the same argument applied. It's very hard.
Yeah, I think, for example, the Gatling gun, I think that was designed by someone for good, to reduce the amount of people on your side that would get killed because you didn't need as many single soldiers. And of course, then it goes into the wrong hands.
And then
it kills everyone.
Yes, exactly.
Is that not everything? Everything is good and bad. Like, you know, when glass, that can be used as a weapon, or it can be used for us to get light.
Exactly. So there we go. So AI, I don't do the doom and gloom implications of AI. Yeah. When I see people who I overwhelmingly, largely agree with and like Elon talking about X AI, I'm going to do some AI, I'm like, good. If I saw, I don't know, George Soros being like, I'm going to be the AI guy, I'd be like, whoa. Let's talk about this AI thing. But when people like Elon, who runs Tesla, which isn't just a car company, it's a data collection company. Remember, every single Tesla car that ever drives everywhere, that ever experiences a road accident, and is collecting data. And AI is going to start thinking for cars. I'm like, okay, he's the man for the job. Do I think Elon is going to give his AI nuclear weapons capabilities? No. So I'm an overwhelmingly positive person, and I believe in the future of humanity, because we made it through the Bronze Age without everyone stabbing each other with bronze swords. We got to the age of electricity without everyone using it to electrocute each other. You know, it's fine, hopefully. Or the world could blow up, but I don't know. That's just the way I view these things. I don't look at them as problems.
So you said you know the goals of humanity, so I'm going to ask you that in a minute. But one thing you said is you believe that good always triumphs over evil. Does it though? Or does good sometimes have the upper hand and then bad sometimes has the upper hand, and it just goes round in cycles like that forever?
The fact that we are still here and civilization is still progressing means good is triumphing over evil. Obviously, bad things happen everywhere in the world. There are evil people, evil governments, evil armies, evil regimes, good armies, good regimes. But I feel like in this strange journey that humanity's gone through, the fact that, minus the Dark Ages, well, no, but you could take China and say, I'm getting boring, but you can basically look throughout the time scale and be like, we have advanced and progressed. and life expectancy is longer. We can treat diseases that used to kill people. I'm like, okay, humanity is overall winning. Now, do I think in 300 years that the world is going to be a smoking ruin, or do I believe it's going to be hopefully safer, more technologically advanced, people living longer lifespans, our great-great-great-great-great-grandkids will, for the first time ever, have access to all the stuff that we did and be able to see us and stuff. It's a very cool thing to think about, and I think good is winning over evil. I think it is, because the forces of evil, the true forces of evil that have ever really existed in humanity, would love to see everything destroyed. That's true evil. What could be more evil than wanting to destroy the earth and destroy the human race? Nothing. And yeah, so far it looks like we're winning. I'm doing okay. You doing okay?
I'm doing okay.
Good. The forces of good are winning. That's the way I see things.
Yeah. And those other goals of humanity then, what are they other than good triumphing over evil?
Well, it's the goals of humanity aren't really any different to the goals of any life form on the planet. The propagation and the preservation of one's own species. And to do that, we have to get past Earth, we have to get onto other planets, maybe other solar systems one day, because obviously the Earth has its time limit. The Earth is going to expire eventually.
And the sun as well.
Yeah,
That'll
exactly.
be gone in 5 billion years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that cooks the Earth with it. So, yeah, I mean, the preservation of one's own species is obviously the ultimate goal of every species, whether it be a bacteria or a possum or a crow. But humanity is actually in a very special position. Humanity is in the special position where the preservation of life on Earth itself is in the hands of humanity. A turtle isn't going to fly itself to Mars. That's not going to happen. But turtles could be on Mars if we put them there. We have all this amazing diaspora of life here on planet Earth, and we are kind of like the safeguards of it. So the future of the entire Earth and everything on it is in our hands. So we're actually we have a bigger responsibility than any other life form. But I think that is the overall goal, to protect and preserve your own species and life on Earth as a whole.
What do you think is the most destructive ideology?
Do I say something that could get me into trouble?
Yes, please. That's all you love.
I think the most destructive ideology is that countries and borders and patriotism and nationalism are all bad things. They're terrible. You know these type of people who, oh, it's one Earth, I'm a citizen of Earth. Everyone should be allowed to go everywhere. There should be no borders, there should be no border checks. People should be able to completely freely move around Earth and just do whatever they like. I actually think that's a very dangerous ideology in today's world. It's a very dangerous ideology because the word culture, correct me if I'm wrong, someone looked this up in the dictionary, the word culture actually only exists, even in bacterial claims, terms, if it's isolated. You have a culture of bacteria. It's all one type of bacteria. You can't have a culture if it's 10 million different types of bacteria in a petri dish. For example, so I like the fact that if I go to the Gambia, they serve Gambian food and there are Gambian people there and Gambian people in charge. In Japan, the same thing. In South Korea and lots of places where I've been, I like to experience other cultures. And other cultures are wonderful and they're beautiful. But pretend that humanity itself is one culture and everyone's the same and everyone can go anywhere and do anything they like. I think that's a dangerous ideology. I like the fact that different cultures come up with different things, different cultures think in different ways, different inventions come from different cultures because the people think differently. Even the way the language is formed and phrased alters how people think. That's why Germans are so efficient. They have one of the most efficient languages. I'm not going to bore you and get into that. I don't know if you speak German. But yeah, I think that cultures need to be respected and nationalism in its healthiest form need to be respected and loved and pushed.
And when you first smiled, and something came into your head, of, should I say it?
Yeah.
Was it that? Or was it something
of course
else?
it was, because people will now call me a racist.
Right.
But they'll only call you a racist if I say I think Romania should be overwhelmingly Romanian. No one really care. And I say I think Japan should be overwhelmingly Japanese. But if I say Ireland should be overwhelmingly Irish, they'll call me a racist. I'm mixed race. I'm half black, quarter Irish, quarter English. I'm a mix of the races myself. So obviously I'm not, but yeah, it's a very taboo idea for some reason in the Western world. It's not taboo anywhere else. But and then you have true multiracial cultures, like the United States. The United States is not a white country or a black country or a Latino or Hispanic country. The United States is actually one of the only countries, because I guess the British Empire wiped out all the natives, that is a truly multiracial society, and it's unique. American culture is unique. It's very different from anything else we have. We're allowed all the guns we like, so we hold the government at ransom. It's a very weird idea, but that's what America is, and we should love America for what it is, and let America be America, in the same way we should let every other country be every other country. Instead of trying to police the world, drag every other country down or up, or whichever way you see it, and just try to welcome too many people from countries that have different values. And that stands with, and that applies to, by the way, every country on earth. I live in Romania, I'm an American, I'm also half British. I'm not speaking for any country, I'm speaking for every country in the world. If you are a Mexican and 2 million Chinese people want to move into Mexico City, you should say, no, I want Mexico City to be overwhelmingly Mexican. I think that Mexicans have the right to say that. But it's a controversial idea today, and you get labeled a bunch of horrible things for saying it. Let's see what the backlash is for this. It won't be jail.
No. What defines sexual consent?
That's a very tricky question. That's a question I didn't think I'd get. You know, I think women give consent. Men are always a lot more up for sex than women are, as a whole. Of course, there are variations in that, but exceptions don't disprove the rule. Women are the gatekeepers to sex. And the truth is this: if you're a man, you know if a woman's consented or not. You know. I've never had sex against a woman's consent. If I did, I should be in jail. 20 years minimum. I'm the father of a daughter. The idea of a rapist detests me. In every jail in the world, including Romanian jail, the people who are committing those types of crimes are ostracized, punished, and so they should be. The truth is, when you try to police human nature, you go down these absurd spirals of just pure nonsense. Was it in Spain they proposed that they needed a signed piece of paper before having sex? So here's the thing: I've had consensual sex where the woman's never said yes or no or anything to me. You've gone on a night out, it's been wonderful, it's been romantic, the chemistry builds up, your hand touches hers, you're sitting in the seats of the theater, there's an intermission, the lights go out, you go in for the kiss, she kisses you back, you go back to the house afterwards, you pour a glass of wine, you talk, you start kissing, and then sex. At no point did I stop the kissing. Do you consent to having sexual intercourse with me? Like, what kind of insane law would that be? Consent is given most of the time without any words being spoken. And there are men and women in this room, and everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone already knows this. The world's gone nuts, bro.
Fact.
So what does define sexual consent? If you can fully consent, both parties can fully consent with no words spoken, what does define it? The question is, you know. As a man, you know if she's consented or not. You think I've never tried to have sex with a woman and she said no? And she said no without speaking. You're kissing her, exactly the same story happens. She's on your bed, you touch her stomach, you start reaching up her top, she grabs your hands and pulls it down. That's a no. It's fine, and it's no. Then you fucking have another glass of wine and go to sleep. It isn't a big deal. So how do you define it? You can't police this shit. All you can do is teach men not to be scumbag, rapist, pieces of shit. You teach men the proper way of dealing with women, and what you do is you obviously massively punish rapists who are convicted of rape, and you also massively punish false accusers who are proven. Hear me out. If a man goes to trial for rape and he's found not guilty, you don't punish the woman. You don't punish her because it could have been. He's found not guilty. That doesn't mean she's a false accuser. But when you have evidence, it's been found, text messages, haha, I'm going to say he raped me, blah, blah, clear evidence of a false accusation, give her the same sentences. Let people respect consent much more. You can't police it. Sign bits of paper, apps. It's a joke. An app might work in today's day and age. Beep, beep, it's an app. But then here's the thing. I get consent on the app. No, let's say I get consent on the paper. Let's go down this rabbit hole because I like this question. I'm enjoying this. I and beautiful woman A are gonna have sex with each other. We're kissing, we're talking, the exact same date nights happen. I stop. Do you consent to having sex with me? Yes, I do. Here are the consent forms. Please sign it, write your date, stamp it, whatever, but boom, boom. Consent form's done, right? Boom. I grab hold of her, I start kissing her badly. I can't kiss very well. I drop my pants, I've got a tiny little dick. And she says, you know what, Tristan, I don't want to have sex with you anymore. Well, I've got the signed paper. That's when rape is legally excusable. You could say to the judge, oh, I have this piece of paper. Rapists can then get away with rape if you let them do it. I was about to say rape is justified. I didn't mean that. I meant rape is justified in the eyes of the law. Because you could do anything you want to her then. I've got the signed bit of paper. You can't do that. That's sick. That's disgusting. So, yeah, I think consent. What defines sexual consent? If you're a man, you know what defines sexual consent. You know when she's too drunk. You know when she tries to stop you. You know when she's completely giving herself to you and she's open to you. You know. Words, no words, papers, no papers, apps, clicks, doesn't matter. You know. And if you don't respect that, you deserve to go to jail.
I need to take a sip of water after that one. I was just thinking, I wonder if Tristan needs a little break. You've just come to
I never thought about the question, really. But now that I go down the rabbit hole, I realize how stupid these piece of paper signing consent laws even are. It's actually ridiculous. Humans have had sex for the entirety of human history.
Yeah, we didn't need tablets
exactly.
or scrolls.
Yeah, and rape was punishable in the Roman Empire, and rape was punishable in the Mongol Empire, and rape was punishable everywhere, as it should be. But you can't start policing consent. Ever heard of a forged signature? That would be a fucking problem.
Yeah. Who's better with women, you or Andrew?
Obviously, I don't want to upset anyone, but obviously me. I don't know. You know, I don't think anyone's better with women or worse than worse with women.
Well, surely you're not very good with women if you want women and you can't get women.
Okay, if you want women and you can't get women, you're bad with women. But let me give you an example. I, especially in my younger days, would meet and date and sleep with a lot of beautiful women. A lot of beautiful women. And let's take example A, Mr. Anonymous. He fell in love when he was 17, married his wife at 22, and his wife isn't maybe smoking hot, but he's been with her for 40 years, and they're now a 60-year-old married couple. Who's better with women, me or him? You don't know. I can't answer the question. I don't know if anyone at home can. It depends on what you want. If you are a tall kickboxing champion millionaire who's, you know, charming and knows how to speak well and knows how to make jokes and stuff, you can get women. You can get women, and both of us are both of those, or all of those things. So if we want women, we can get women. Who's better? I couldn't answer the question because I don't even know the parameters. The million people who will watch this, plus, they all have different ideas of what good with women means.
I asked Andrew the same question. What do you think he said?
Me.
He did. So that means you think you.
You may have got me there. I'm saying nothing. I plead the fifth.
What about giving us some tips? 3 tips on getting good with women.
Oh, I can do this all day.
Well, then I flew out here. I've got all day.
Right, easy. 1, there are no tips. If women don't like you, it's your fault, and they don't like you. I am sick of dating coaches trying to give tips to get women. Oh, well, if you make this kind of joke, or if you first insult her subtly and then say something, it increases her ego level of... No. I don't try to get women, and that's the only tip I can give you, but here are the tips. 1, work super hard every day. 2, train super hard every day and be in shape. 3, make sure your hair looks all right, your beard looks okay, don't walk around looking scruffy. Take showers, basic stuff. Live in a nice house, have a fun lifestyle. All the tenets of hard work. It's funny, actually, the way that God works and the way the universe works. All the tenets of hard work that I preach that makes men better men. If you took women out of the equation, it would still be true. But when women are in the equation, then you don't need tips. You don't need tips. You're in great shape. You got a 6-pack. You're worth $10 million. You look smart, you look sharp, you've showered that morning, you've read a lot of books, a lot of literature, you've listened to a lot of audiobooks, watched a lot of documentaries, you've got interesting things to say, all the things that builds a great man.
But these are tips. And this isn't taught in school, so these are tips.
Well, the tip is, if you need tips, then you're not living life right. No?
Yes, but every winner was once a beginner.
Yes.
In the sense that there's many people who don't know this yet, and you do, and they're willing and they want to learn.
So if you want women, I can't teach you, but I can teach you how to be the type of man that women want. And when
Is
you
that
get
not
to
the same thing?
Well, maybe it is.
It's just, yeah, it is the same thing.
I
think what you're saying is no gimmicky tips. What you're saying is, because I think to get rich, it's not just about learning secret tips to get rich. You have to become wealth.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
You know, when you become what you want to be, you get it.
Yes.
You know, I believe you don't get what you want, you get what you are.
That's a very good way of putting it, yeah.
And so I think what you're saying is become the man the woman wants.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, you know, can game them.
How can I, in my current circumstances? So I play PlayStation all day. I live at my mother's house. I'm 35. I'm the same Tristan Tate. I've never worked out though. I'm really skinny. I've got no muscles. Maybe a beer belly. I eat bad food. You know, I haven't got any nice clothes. How does that guy get women? He is me. What tips do I give him? There are no tips.
There are. But I become this version of you. That is tips.
Yeah, I guess it is. I guess it is. But
are you just a bit worried about coming across like those who give tips?
Well, yeah, absolutely, because I don't like to give dating advice in that way. Thank you very much. I don't like to give dating advice in that way because I'm like, if women don't want you, I can't teach you anything because I've got it on easy mode because I've done all the hard work. I've done all the hard work of getting rich, staying in shape, learning things, becoming articulate, knowing how to speak, developing a sense of humor, all the things, having a fun lifestyle, all the hard things I've done mean I now play the women game on easy mode. If I had Instagram, which I don't, if I activated...
Is that because you got cancelled or you don't want it?
I got cancelled now, I won't make a new page.
No.
There are a bunch of fan accounts of me, but I don't have Instagram. If I did, I'd just sit and look at the inbox and 40, 50 women would write me every single day and I could take my pick. Now, those aren't the type of women you want to marry, but like I said earlier, I mean, they're good for what they're good for, and I could go and find a wife. I could go to the library, approach the beautiful girl, talk to her a little bit, and she'd be on my arm. So I've done all the hard work, so now I'm in easy mode. So if you haven't done any of the hard work, I can't tell you how I get women, because I just do. I just do, and they just don't.
But you did. Having this conversation, you did. You said, work on your sense of humour, work on articulation, work on your intellect, work on your body. Yeah, so you did.
Well, yeah, I did. Yeah. I did, but those aren't the tips that people want. When a fat out of shape,
but you don't teach what people want, do you? You teach what they need.
Need to hear. So when a fat out of shape dude who lives with his mum and plays video games says, "Hey Tristan, give me some tips on how to get women," he's not expecting me to say, "Change your entire lifestyle, work hard for 7 years, and then the women will come easy." He doesn't want that. What he wants is a magic spell, something you could say to them to trick them, brainwash them, make them fall in love with you. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Women are their own people, and they like what they like, and men like what they like. And if I were to say to a really, really obnoxious, rude, low quality, unattractive, overweight woman, if she was to ask a supermodel, I'm not a supermodel, I'm not comparing myself in that way, but in terms of male value, with everything I've done, maybe I'm up there. If she would ask a supermodel, "Hey, how do you get guys?" Well, just flutter your eyelashes. There's no magic trick. She looks like a pig, she looks like a Barbie. One of them's going to get the guy's attention and one of them isn't. And it's the same with men. But men don't see it that way because there's not such a glaringly obvious difference in what's attractive and what's not. You know, I can look very similar to a dude who's not attractive to women. Does that make sense? But I'm attractive to women because when I open my mouth and speak, they like what I say. When I'm doing things, they like how I live. But I don't need to be that physically different from the guy who can't get women. So it's less obvious for men.
And let's flip it on the other side. What would you don't like to give tips, so these aren't tips, but what would you say to the tips that aren't tips to women to get a good man?
Different men have different... We have to define two different terms before we start. What is a good man? And two, what does get mean? So, of course, I think of a good man and get as handsome, smart, charming, will take care of you, will provide for you, not necessarily rich, but will provide for you, and get as in long-term relationship with the prospect of trying to get married. So let's define it that way first, because the question could be answered in lots of different ways. One, do not be the type of girl who sleeps around. I don't care what modern society tells you, no man wants to marry the girl with a high body count. Sure, girls with high body counts get lots of attention, but they don't really get attention from the men who they want to end up marrying. And also, they might get attention from the type of men that they want to end up marrying, but they get that attention for a weekend and that's it. Don't have a high body count, do not sleep around. Enter every single relationship with the goal that, yes, I think this man would make a good husband, and I'm only going to be with him with the goal of marrying him. Now, it might not work out. You might have 2 or 3 failed relationships. That's life. That's what happens. No one really cares. But yeah, don't sleep around, don't eat too much, and be nice and pleasant and bring him a good energy. I think it's as simple as that for women.
So when you say...
But sorry, I'll redefine the question.
Please.
If you think getting a man means getting him to buy you stuff, and a good man, as in a stupid man who will buy you lots of presents, see, these are 2 different questions. Then by all means, flaunt yourself on the internet, sleep with every dude who buys you a handbag, enjoy your handbag collection, that's cool, but just don't ask where all the good men are when it's time to get married. And I don't judge anyone for any of this stuff. As I said, I'm sick of these red pill podcasts, sitting down these women who are promiscuous and perhaps low quality in my eyes or your eyes or a lot of men's standards, saying, you're not wives and you do this and that's bad and that's it. The wives won't go sit on the podcasts. There are wives out there and those women are useful. You think I've never rented a yacht and filled it with a bunch of women that I wanted to sleep with? None of them were wives. Love you girls. But
there might have been someone else's wife.
Had a great time. But do you get my point? Like, don't try to change people and don't judge people and don't be so hate-filled towards women who aren't living the way that you would want them to live if you were going to marry them. They're not going to marry you and you're not going to marry them. Leave them alone. Let them go and do it. Yeah.
Coffee good?
Very good.
Good.
Full of energy.
So what's a high body count then for a woman?
I actually mathematically wrote this on Twitter once as a joke. As a joke, I wrote down that an acceptable body count is 1 for every 2 years she ages past the age of 18. That's what I wrote on Twitter because I thought about it. I typed it down. Is that true? No. Are there?
So by the time she's 30, she's only allowed to have had, what, 6 partners?
If you get to 30 and a woman says she has 6 partners, that's not high.
No.
It's not low, but that's not high. You wouldn't say this girl's a hoe. This girl's a slut. This girl's all the horrible names that, not me, all the horrible names that like red pill influencers and stuff use towards women. You wouldn't say a 30-year-old woman who's had sex with 6 men. You know, 2 years per... She's had a few failed relationships.
She might have really tried hard, fell in love, and the man binned her off, and she might have only ever had 1 partner.
I will, I guess, unapologetically say that there are some great women out there who tried to be with me. I was not in that place at the time, too busy building my business. I did sleep with them, you know, whatever, wasn't interested. And they're great girls, and they'll make someone a great wife one day. And they were, I guess, trying to be serious about me, but I wasn't that serious. You know, that doesn't make her bad.
No, they can't help that.
Yeah, exactly. She's not the bad person for sleeping with me.
No.
So, yeah, I wrote that down on Twitter, on X, as a joke, but it's kind of good math. The math kind of adds up. Whereas if she's 20 and she says 6, you'll be like, ooh, when did you, what, so at maybe 18, you started 6 in 2 years? That's quite quick.
But three in a year, is that a lot?
I don't know. And there are no rules to this. There really are no rules to this. And there are no...
Society's a bit different, isn't it?
Well, society's different. And also, I don't try to police people's behavior. So what I say is an acceptable body count, I expect everybody here who's watching, who maybe doesn't agree with me, to raise their middle finger to the screen and say, this guy, who is he to judge what my body count is and isn't? And I completely agree, but if I get married, she's gonna have a body count under 2 or 3.
All right,
so that's just my own personal preference, and I'm allowed to have my preference too.
You are.
So, piss off.
So, okay, so you find someone, her body count's 3.
Yep.
She's the right age for you.
Yeah.
You fall in love with her.
Yeah.
Everything is there, and then you find out it was 12. What happens?
But
you're in love with her.
Yeah, I wouldn't marry her, but not.
No, but you already had.
I'd
And then
already
you
married
found
her.
out, yeah.
I'd already
fallen
got
in love
married.
with her, you married her, everything's there, and then someone told you, no, her body count's not 3.
It's 12.
It's 12 or it's 15, and the only reason she lied to you is because she loved you. And she knew, because of this podcast, that you would never have got with her if she'd have told the truth.
Interesting. You know, I've had girls like that. I've had girls who pretended to be good girls, but the thing is with me is, like with if a man's drank coffee from 1,000 different places, he knows what good coffee is and bad coffee is. I really can't be lied to as easily as most people. I kind of know. I have a feel for it early on. I can just kind of tell. And it's not that hard to find out about people, especially when they're from the same town or city as you. It's really not hard. So I have a very good feel for it. So I like to think that would be very hard to do, because every time it's happened to me, I start dating a girl, she tells me a story about her past, blah, blah, blah. I notice things don't add up very quickly, and I'm just like, well, why would you bullshit me? And what I always do in those circumstances, and I guess I'd do the same if I was married, is stop talking to them. Because it's not about the actual body count. It's about the dishonesty of pretending to be someone that you're not. I had a girl recently, I'll say she's Polish, she doesn't matter. But anyway, she comes and meets me, we go out, have dinner and stuff, and blah, blah, blah. She comes back to Romania to meet me again for the second time, and I found out she's an OnlyFans model who I wouldn't care, naked pictures, look, it's page 3, don't care. But it was like full on having sex with people OnlyFans. And I was just like, well, why didn't you tell me that? Like, I'm not that mad, because hanging out with you and sleeping with you sometimes is like, fine. I was never gonna marry you, but the fact that you tried to sell yourself off as a different product. No, I'm not fun material, I'm wife material. The fact that you tried to do that, I'm just like, well, I don't really wanna see you anymore. It instantly put me off. Does that make sense? So yeah, I'd have to stop talking to them. It's the dishonesty I can't take. Same with friends. If I met a friend and if I found out the background story of any of my guys, the people here, if I found out they glaringly, obviously lied about something, I'd be like, well, why did you lie? I don't get what you were trying to do. Your intentions when you met me obviously were dishonest. If you met me and you were hanging out with me, and next week it turns out that me and Andrew have never had any money, our dad's not dead, and he's an oil billionaire, you'd immediately think, well, f those two. Because they've sold me an image of themselves and have tried to come across as genuinely these people when they weren't. And that's it. So I'd have to cut her off. Yeah, I'd divorce her.
Yeah, wow.
My dad is not an oil billionaire, and he is dead, and I did make all my own money. So just FYI. But it's an example.
So I don't really normally talk about these things on my podcast, because I'm more interested in business and money.
Understood.
So that's why I'm going to carry on talking about it.
Let's do it.
Because this is fun and different.
Why not?
So just let me throw you another hypothetical situation. You've got a smart, sassy, challenging, intellectual, hot woman. And because she has a body count of 20, she's got an amazing amount of life experience that maybe someone with a body count of 2 or 3 wouldn't have had. She really knows how to please a man, and she can do shit in bed that someone with a body count of 2 or 3 just can't do.
I know lots of women like that.
Okay, but you're still not marrying that person.
No, I'll call them on Friday nights. That's what. And the thing is, I'm not speaking as myself today. I'm not speaking as myself, you know, because I'm not such a womanizer anymore. I'm taking the old mindset I used to have and applying, because I know the example. 5 names come to mind when you name that person.
I mean, that's a very compelling woman, isn't it?
So all I do is think into the past and what did I do at that time? I just hung out with them sometimes. It was fun. That's it. Use protection. No one gets hurt. No big deal. Well, I didn't know what the issue was, but I didn't understand what the issue was. If anyone had an issue with it, it's mine and her private life, and everyone can piss off. But yeah, I can think of people like that. And my answer is just no, I never thought of marrying them. They were fun to have around, and that's exactly what I did.
All right, should we change it up? Because we've got a new round.
A new round?
A new round.
Let's go.
We've never done this before. Well, we did it with Andrew. So today is the first time we've ever done this kind of round. And yeah, Andrew really liked it. So let's see how it's 1-word answer.
1-word answer?
Yeah, 1-word answer.
Great, let's go.
And ideally what comes to your mind, but if you want to think, of course, that's fine.
I'll try to think for as short a time as possible.
That's cool. So when I say the word, you're hitting me up. So what word first comes to mind when I say war?
Peace. It's boring. That's such a boring answer. That's the first word that came to my mind, though.
Then it's not a boring answer, it's your answer. I'm not bored.
Everyone at home just shuts off the podcast now. War, Peace? Yeah. I mean, Tolstoy's War and Peace is a good book. I guess I've read that book, or maybe that's why it came up. Who knows?
Ooh. What's the first word that comes to your mind when I say LGBTQ+?
Insane.
When I say what is a man, what's the word that comes to your mind?
Biological human male. Male.
What's the first word that comes to your mind when I say how you feel about women?
Obsessed.
What's the first word that comes to mind when I say misogyny?
Andrew, but that's not because he is. It's because of the headline. It's because of the headlines. I would say, no, I guess misunderstood would be my answer. The term misogyny is misunderstood. But of course I'm going to say Andrew, because every time I hear that word, that's the trigger word that the media use.
Yeah.
Well, let's continue.
The UK.
Failed.
The BBC.
Trash.
Piers Morgan.
Honest.
Donald Trump.
Hero.
The Matrix.
Constricting.
Depression.
Imaginary.
Rob Moore.
Gentleman.
Oh. Good round. I like that.
Yeah.
Andrew called me handsome. So
Yeah. When I said women obsessed, I feel like that's true because my life revolves around, especially a lot of my work, and me working so hard and me trying to be the man that I am is, you know, I'd hate to see my mother work. I'd hate to see my daughter ever be in a bad position, her mother. I'd like to take care of these people. And it's maybe the first thing I think of when I wake up in the morning is, are they all okay? It's one of my first ever thoughts. So yeah, it is kind of an obsession. I didn't mean I'm obsessed with running around chasing women anymore. But
oh, so that makes it all right now.
It makes it all right.
You're not an axe murderer anymore.
Anymore,
You
no,
did it.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Fine.
I don't want this round to be this. I don't want this show to be about Andrew. I'm sure you've been asked a million questions about Andrew.
My relationship with Andrew is a defining aspect of my life. So I'm not offended at all when people want to ask me about Andrew.
Which I haven't yet.
No, you haven't yet.
So what I've done is just put a nice little fence around it and just doing an Andrew round.
Cool, let's do an Andrew round.
Okay. Is there anything that Andrew's ever said that shocked you?
Never. I know when he's joking, I know when he's not. He's never said anything shocking to me ever.
Are you in any way pissed off with Andrew at what he might have brought to your door?
No, no. I'm very happy for everything Andrew's brought to my door. I wouldn't be the man I was without Andrew. I probably wouldn't be as accomplished a kickboxer or a fighter if not for Andrew. Business-wise, you know, we're a team and we wouldn't have made it this far without Andrew, without me. When I look at my door and I open it and I know that everyone in my life is completely taken care of, I've got all these cars, I've got all these mansions, I've got this great group of friends, I've got my brother, I've got the friendship and the love I get from him. Oh, but there's a little bit of jail. Boo-hoo. I don't care at all. What he's brought to me, my door, you're talking about the negative things. First things that came to my mind were positive things.
I'm not talking about anything. I'm just asking questions.
Well, there we go. Well, that's my perspective on it.
Have you seen any cracks appear in Andrew's mental health?
Never.
Since going to jail, have you ever seen... I mean, he was having nightmares, wasn't he?
Sometimes you have nightmares. It's the way it is.
So you
If I had nightmares, I just wouldn't talk about it. Andrew, I guess, lets people in a bit more, but no, there's no cracks in Andrew's mental health. He's not going to flip out and, you know, murder anyone or start human trafficking for real. Like, yeah, he's fine.
But having some mental health challenges doesn't manifest always in killing people. Sometimes they can you can break a little bit. You can feel lonely, you can cry, you know, these things. Not everything ends in murder and rape, does it?
That is true. Of course. And I guess to be fair, I'm being flippant about the issue. I am being very flippant about the issue because it's very easy for me to say, oh, Andrew's so tough, don't worry, it's fine. But there are very tough people who do have mental health problems. So I'm actually not making fun of mental health problems when I say, oh, Andrew's too tough for that stuff. I think just Andrew's built differently. No, I haven't seen any cracks.
Would you say if you had?
Maybe, yeah. I guess I would, because I don't think it's something that can emasculate a person. I look at someone like Tyson Fury, who is an absolute legend, by the way, who's gone through some mental health problems. I don't think, oh, he went through mental health problems, he's weak. He's Tyson Fury, he's a heavyweight world champion. He's the man, isn't he? So yeah, I don't think that if I said, of course the haters would jump on it, but if I said, oh, Andrew seemed a bit more upset or something, I don't think it would in any way reflect badly on him. But my honest answer is no.
What do you think is the most misunderstood about Andrew?
How kind and how generous he is. You know what? He's just a great guy, a really great person. He'd do anything for anyone if he could. If it's within his power, he'd do anything to help anyone. Yeah, he's a really wonderful person, and it's very easy to look at stupid jokes he made about, oh, women can't drive. Look, one, that's not a joke, and two, that doesn't make him the worst person in the world. You know who else has made jokes about women being bad drivers? Basically every single comedian in the universe prior to 2005. Leave the guy alone. Like, he's a really wonderful person. So I think that's what's misunderstood. When people meet him, I'll meet people who don't know Andrew, and they'll come to my house and they're like, wow, your brother's actually really nice. I'm like, what did you think he was going to do? Punch you in the face? Like, what do you expect when you meet Andrew Tate? You've met Andrew. You've met Andrew.
Yeah.
Is he aggressive or abrasive, or does he make you feel uncomfortable? No, he's actually such a good guy. And I think that is massively misunderstood. And the fact that you would agree means that I'm right, because we know what some people's opinions of are him.
Will you and Andrew ever fight the Paul brothers?
So I was asked about this. I'm in good shape now. Could I fight again? Yes. It's a difficult issue, and I guess my answer would be they need the clout and they need the money far more than us. One of them is in severe debt because he scammed a bunch of his fans, and I'm not here to shit on the Paul brothers, because Jake I would consider a friend. I talk to him like a big brother talks to a little brother. But as for Logan saying my name, I mean, the thing is, he's had, what, 6 fights, lost them all, or lost all but one. You know, and he pretends to be a fighter because he can garnish this kind of attention because he's a media personality, but I don't have anything to prove to people like Logan Paul. I am much older than Logan, of course, and my fight career was very, very good. I won something like 30-something of my 40-something fights. Had some very tough battles, lots and lots of wins, European titles, some losses. You know, back in the day before Instagram existed, before everything was, you know, before I was famous, before it gained me clout. But I am known as a fighter, and I'm known as a fighter in a way that he never will be. I'm known as a fighter in the way that if you throw me in a cell with a murderer, a rapist, and 2 drug dealers, who are all members of the Romanian various gangs, people look at me and go, oh, Tate, respect. That's how I'm known as a fighter. He would have left with a higher male body count than his fiance. That's how he would have left jail. And well, he's not starting at 0. Remember that. He's not starting at 0 in that regard. So the fact that he does his backflips and takes his steroids and, you know, makes these big shows about fights, I've never said his name until now because he keeps saying my name. And the only reason I could think he's doing it is for viral hits or viral internet clips. But I have nothing to prove to him. When killers look me in the eye and they don't want any smoke and we're on cool terms, that's because I'm a fighter. And I'm a fighter in a way that he will never be. And he will never even understand. His little brother, Jake, is a fighter now. I will give him that title. Not that it's mine to give. But I'm not interested in Logan Paul or anything he says about me. It doesn't keep me up at night. I'm very strong, I'm very fit. My shoulder is now fully recovered. Could I fight again? Yes, he needs it more than me. I don't have debts I need paying off. I haven't scammed my fans. I don't owe people a bunch of money. So, yeah, I don't think I'll do him that favor. But I don't need to prove myself to him. I am a fighter, and he is not. And if anyone wants to disagree, I don't give a shit.
Do you think you'll ever step in the ring and do a fight like that? Let's call it the crossover fighting or whatever.
You know, no. I feel like what the Tate brothers are about, I don't know if my brother will or won't, and I can't speak for both of us, but I think what the Tate brothers are about is a lot bigger than the clout-chasing, money-making side of being an influencer. I always hate when people call me an influencer. I say, no, I'm a man with influence, and I've earned it. I'm not an influencer. I'm not known just for being known. So I was a fighter first. I became famous afterwards. I'm not a fighter because I had fame and used it to fight. Will I ever do it? No. I feel like my mission in life is bigger than taking some YouTuber who makes stupid jokes and beating him up in a boxing ring. I don't feel like that's going to do anything to push my message and to advance what I'm trying to do with the young men of the world. I don't think it's going to benefit me in any way. Well, I'm going to make money, what, $10 million? I don't need it. I don't care. So no, I don't think I will. I don't think I will box. If I do fight again, it will be, honestly, you know how the UK works. Inter-club competitions, local kickboxing gyms, just me and them, the old school way, you know? I'm not going to make a big show and dance out of it and try and make my fans buy pay-per-views. That's not how I would do it.
And on the subject of one thing that we have in common, which is where we were born, what do you think of the state of the UK right now?
It's abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. Again, immigration is a wonderful thing when done properly. I'm an immigrant. Loads of my friends, in fact, almost all my friends from the UK are immigrants in one way or another. And immigration is a wonderful thing when done properly. But letting massive boats of people who we don't know who they are in from uneducated countries has resulted, I mean, rape in the UK is up 360% in the last 10 years. And they'll look at gentlemanly, stoic people like myself and say, his misogynistic ideas are why rape is... What? What? You heard what I had to say about rape and consent and what should happen to rapists. What? It's up because of me, not because tens of thousands of people who we don't know who they are, who are all men, have landed on our shores like it's the bloody D-Day Normandy invasions. And nobody knows where these people are, where they kept or where they slept, or where they sleep. And rape is up. Well, that's very interesting. Everyone's stabbing each other. Everyone's being killed. Now, I lived in a time, to believe it or not, where when you had an argument with somebody, you used to fight with your hands. And you'd have your little fist fight, and that was it. And you both look at each other in school the next day with this angry face, and you both had black eyes. And nobody died. But now everyone's getting killed. Everyone's being stabbed. Is that music culture? Is it rap culture? I mean, there are factors that you could contribute to it, but the dude 3 days ago or 2 days ago who was running around London throwing acid in women's faces isn't some British guy who got in an argument with his girlfriend and threw acid in her face. It was a random dude who claimed asylum who no one knows where he's from. Like, the UK has just failed. They're not fixing the most basic issues. You can live as safe as you want in London. You can be in a penthouse suite at the finest hotel. That's where I stay. I can go shopping at Harrods. If I walk down on the street, even with, this is a moderately priced Rolex, and I start walking around, there's a good chance that someone's gonna put a knife through my heart and cut off my hand to take my watch. How insane is that? And then the mayor of London wants to cry about nonsense issues like the low emission zone cameras. The UK has failed, and it's truly tragic. Because the UK was the greatest country in the entire world, the greatest empire in the entire world. And anybody who argues, I have a question for them. What language are you listening to this podcast in? There's a reason why everyone in the entire world knows the language of England. We were the greatest country that ever existed. And it's really sad what's happened. It's really sad.
Where did it all go wrong?
That's a very interesting and tricky question that will upset some people with the answer, because there are historical answers that upset people. Answers like when we gave up the British Empire and started, giving autonomy back to these countries. I don't think that's where it all went wrong, because the Commonwealth was strong and the Commonwealth was good. I think it all went wrong when modern day people started apologizing and being told that they need to feel sorry for actions that happened hundreds of years before they were born. When we were told that we are no longer proud, and we no longer can be proud of being British or English. Can't even use that term. Makes you racist. Now, I have a unique perspective on this situation because I am the descendant of Irishmen, white Englishmen, and also African Americans who were trafficked in the transatlantic slave trade. That side of my family were slaves. I don't believe any living white man owes an apology to any living black man for things that happened way before they were born to people that they'll never know the names of. I think that is a sick concept. This idea that you are born with this generational guilt and you need to be sorry because in the early 1800s, some people starved to death in India. Millions of people. Let's not belittle it. Millions of people starved to death in India because of some bad decision making by the British Empire. That is tragic. Would I want it to happen today? No. But you are not responsible, and I am not responsible, and the Indians who are living today are not victims of what happened. So it's the victim mindset, the victim mentality. Greatest empire in the world, did the most for the world than maybe any other country since maybe Rome and Greece. And you have to feel sorry for being British now. You're not allowed to be proud of yourself anymore. That's when it all went wrong. In the last 30 years, you're no longer allowed to be proud of where you come from and who you are. You must be ashamed. You especially, you're a white English man, you should be ashamed. In fact, you owe me money.
Why?
Well, hey, what do you mean why? Of course you owe me money. You owe me loads of money. My great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was probably living somewhere peacefully on the western coast of Africa, and the British took him and sent him to America. I'm damaged from the generational pains of slavery, and you as a white British man owe me money. Pay up. It's wild, isn't it? But that's literally when I say it, it comes across as a joke, but there are people with straight faces literally saying this to people. I don't get it. It's wild. England, yeah, it's fallen. I think that's when it fell, when you're no longer allowed to be proud to be English, and you have to apologize for everything any Englishman ever did throughout all of history, and it's all your fault. None of the good stuff is your fault, by the way. You know, the fact that the whole world has institutions like, you know, banking, and, you know, they brought Christianity to a lot of countries where they practiced cannibalism before. No, you're not allowed to take credit for the good stuff, but all the bad stuff is your fault, and you owe me money. Internet, Rob Moore owes me money. And my brother.
I think I brought some.
Don't pay me reparations.
I've got these things.
Don't pay me. If you pay me reparations on this podcast, it's going to start a weird trend, and I don't want to go down that road.
How about
this?
Things. That's about 12 pence.
On behalf of all of our great-great-great-great-grandfathers, I forgive you. There we go. You're absolved of your debt. White people still owe everyone money, but he's paid up. I've let him off.
What about the monarchy? What about Christianity? How are those two doing?
Badly. I like the institution of the monarchy. I loved Queen Elizabeth II. What
one of the most
wonderful
amazing
woman.
She does not get enough credit.
What a wonderful woman she was. And I feel like the way to save the monarchy and to re-establish it in the eyes of the British public, me as a proud Englishman, is to hand the crown over to somebody with, let's say, very few, if not no, real stains on their record. And if the king were to abstain and pass the crown on to Prince William, I feel like he has a good shot of making the monarchy work again. I think he has a good shot. His brother, loser, forget about it. The king's brother, forget about it. Let's not even go down that rabbit hole. Let's not even go down that rabbit hole. Give the crown to William. Stop making a big deal of the people in the royal family who just want to scandalously march around Hollywood and make a big deal out of themselves. We all know who I'm talking about. And let's concentrate on what the royal family is really about. You know, let's get Prince William going around the world, acting as an ambassador for us British people, speaking up against some of the issues that affect British people today. I know he's not allowed to get political, he's not allowed to choose a side, but speak up against the issues that affect British people. I think he could be an amazing king, and the monarchy is salvageable. Is Christianity salvageable?
Just before you go to Christianity, I know you said don't mention his name, but there's something I want to talk about with Harry, Prince Harry, because I'm torn. Here's why I'm torn.
Tell me.
I think throwing your dad under the bus on Oprah is like a cardinal sin.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, how he has allowed someone into his life who's ripping the monarchy apart, cardinal sin. But that fucking guy lost his mum in front of the whole world and had to walk around a public funeral. And the British press have a lot to be held responsible for, and they're not. And all the phone hacking and all the shit that they've done. And I have some sympathy and love for him for what he went through with his mum.
I'll tell you why I don't.
Okay, go.
I am from a part in the world. My dad didn't die till I was 27. I can't imagine what it would have been like to lose your mum when you were 8. How old was he? Young kid.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. But the plethora of problems that I know of friends of mine, I know people who were orphaned. I know people with no parents. I know people whose parents were drug addicts who used to abuse them, beat them. I don't come from a good place. And all of these people have grown up somehow to be wonderful people still. I'm not saying what happened to Harry was okay. I'm not saying it wasn't tragic. What I'm saying is his life was so privileged and advantaged in many ways, minus some horrible tragedies. I don't accept the excuse of growing up and becoming a shitty person via any tragedy that happened to you in the past. I think that good people are good and bad people are bad. There could be a man who grows up being sexually abused by his uncle, for example, and sexual abuse happens to men all the time. Men don't talk about it. And he might grow up to be a charity worker who fights for kids who are sexually abused. You can have another person who was sexually abused by his uncle, same circumstances, who grows up to sexually abuse other kids. One's a good person, one's a bad person. Trauma in the past is not an excuse for being a shitty person, and I personally won't give Harry that out card. Because to label in 2000...
to be fair, William had the same thing happen to him.
Exactly,
and,
good person.
Yeah.
So in 2022, to label somebody racist, even today, to label somebody racist is maybe the worst crime ever. You label somebody racist, they can get fired from their job, lose their home.
Human traffickers are quite bad, isn't it?
It's quite bad, but you know, at least I'm not a racist. But anyway, you know, they would... The level of attack on me, when it first started, it was misogynistic, homophobe, racist. Because they didn't know I was half black. They got rid of the racist once they realized who I was. But it's just a standard attack. But to subject your poor grandmother, who was the icon of your entire nation, and all of her family members to the accusation of racism in 2022, for me, unforgivable. And you know why they said that they were racist? Why? Because they were speculating about what color the baby would be. I am half black. I have a daughter. The woman is white. I look quite white. It's a conversation every single mixed race person has when there's someone pregnant. Oh, I wonder if the kid will be darker than me. Could be my dad's color. That could happen. That's not racism. It's a very normal thing. If you were ginger and your wife had black hair, you know, if your grandmother was saying, oh, I wonder if the baby would be born with red hair, that's not racism. Speculating what features the baby's going to have based on the features of its parents isn't racism. So to label the entire royal family racist, unforgivable. Unforgivable, and yes, that was absolutely horrible what happened to him. I actually think you're a kinder man than me for giving him slack, but I won't. I really dislike the guy.
Wow. Let's change it up.
Sure.
So we have a round called the Disruptors round. This show is called Disruptors.
Great.
So these are just 4 or 5 questions about the concept of disruption.
Let's go.
What's the biggest disruption that's ever happened to you in your life?
Dad dying, obviously. Took me off track the most, but I was back on track very quickly.
How long did it take?
You never get fully back on track because you never fully recover. But that's the nature of the way it is. You know, first you think about it every day. And then I guess 7 years down the line, you think about it every day, but for less time. And it's less, it dwells on you less, and it hurts you less. But that's human nature.
What's the biggest risk you've ever taken?
Moving to Romania, moving country, deciding I was finished with England, I was just going to...
You say that's a risk? You've just said what you said about the UK? I think it's a risk to stay here.
Yeah, but when I left 8 years ago, things weren't as bad. Right. It wasn't clearly a failed state when I left. And
Why was it a risk?
It just is. When you uproot every friend you have, it wasn't like I could put my friends on private jets and have them come see me anytime I like. It wasn't like that. It was like, well, I have this job over in Romania. I'm commentating for this fight show. You know, I at least have an income there. I can use my savings, buy an apartment or two. Let's just see how life goes. All right, screw it. Let's uproot and move. I guess that was a risk.
Paid off.
Yeah, well, I guess so. If you don't count the government trying to put me in jail for no reason, but is what it is. But all in all, I've done pretty well.
What's your most brutal life lesson?
My most brutal life lesson is nobody but... I'm trying to think. My most brutal life lesson. I've got one. Be polite to hotel receptionists and fill in their bits of paper.
And what's the one you were trying to say?
No, I was trying to, it's something I've always known. It's not a lesson I learned. But the fact that me and Andrew wake up and say, no one cares about men. No one cares about men until your voice is loud and you're important and people listen to you and you have money. No one cares. I've realized that over the course of my teenage years, my early 20s, no one really cares. Your mother cares about you, that's it. Your brother, maybe one or two friends, but no one actually cares about men. Society as a whole doesn't care about men. But that's not a brutal lesson I learned at any one point.
No, but it's a brutal life lesson, right?
It is, and it's a brutal life lesson all you young men need to learn. Because the problem is, you go from being a child to a man. So that's the problem, you see.
A lot of men don't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. But it's not like you're born and no one gives a fuck about you besides your mother. You're born and everyone loves you. You're a baby. Oh, you're cute. You're small. You're this. You're 10. You're 11. You're still doing funny things. Everyone wants to interact with you. And slowly, the attention falls off. I guess like in the same way, a woman who's in the prime sexual age of her life, who's super attractive and men are giving attention to, is the same when she gets to like 46 and looks around and thinks, what the fuck? What? No one actually... What? Where's all the attention? I think that happens to all men at some point. You know, when people don't find you funny or cute anymore, and then you're out there and you're working a job and you're making sandwiches and people are being rude to you and you got your stupid red hat on and you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? No one cares. Like, yeah, it's a lesson that hits all of us and we've all been there. But it would be easier if no one cared about you from day one. But you go from being adored
you learn how
to liked to tolerated to completely on your own. And the young men out there who haven't quite reached the no one cares about you stage, trust me, wait till you're 21. No one cares. So good luck. Good luck.
Yeah. The most disruptive thing anyone's ever said or done to you?
I don't care what people say to me. People call me a human trafficker, Rob.
Pretty disruptive.
I really do not care. And the thing is about threats and people who talk tough is, look, I was in jail with some serious people. And that type of person won't tell you he's going to beat you up. He'll just attack you when you sleep, you know? That's what real people who are about real things. If I wanted to hurt someone, the last thing I do is tell them, I'm going to beat you up. Stupid. No. So no words anyone has ever said to me have upset me. It's when you sense the intentions of people that upset you. Some of the people who are behind this attack are truly evil people, and I know their intentions. They don't talk to me, but they are scarier than the guy who says, I'm going to murder your daughter and slit her throat. I get it. I get all sorts of hate. Oh, I hope your mom dies from that heart attack. I don't care what you say to me. Doesn't bother me at all. Don't even think about it, because sticks and stones, right?
So, final quickfire round.
Let's go.
What's the best advice you ever received?
The best advice I've ever received was, people don't listen to it enough, but one of the cornerstones of my success, and I will say it to this day, and I always say it, is don't take drugs. I know it sounds stupid, I know it sounds cliche, because back when we were growing up, every celebrity saying don't take drugs, but they all were taking drugs on the side or whatever. I don't know why, for some reason I believed people who said don't take drugs, and I never took any drugs. And the crazy thing is, because I lived in Luton where everyone's taking drugs and I decided to be a kickboxer instead, I can only imagine that little bit of momentum I had that helped me escape from that horrible place would have been killed with a few joints of marijuana per week. I think it would have. And people tell me I'm wrong. No, it would have made you smarter and made you think in a different way. Maybe you're right. So don't start spamming me with pro-weed stuff. I don't know. But I just look at the lives of a lot of people who I knew back then, who were taking the cocaine, smoking the marijuana. I'm like, your lives are the same. PlayStation 2 is turned to PlayStation 5. But besides that, you're doing the same. I feel like that one little spark of momentum that me and Andrew had that got us out could have been killed. And it terrifies me. So yeah, don't take drugs, I think, is the best advice I've had ever. And I'm glad I've stuck to it. And then now the pro-marijuana people are going to start being like, cigars are a drug, caffeine's a drug. You know what I mean. Shut up.
What's the worst advice you ever remember receiving?
Oh, the worst advice is great. The worst advice exists everywhere in the universe, and you hear it all the time. The worst advice, I don't know if the people in charge of the world put this out here on purpose, but you see it every single day. Some flowers take longer to bloom. Don't worry, your time will come. Oh, well, dogs have babies 5 times a year. An elephant calf takes 20 months to gestate because it's greater. So if you're not where you want to be today, don't worry. It's gonna happen. Your time's gonna come, your ship's gonna come in. That's the worst shit I've ever seen. And it's on the internet every day. You're gonna start seeing it now. You're gonna start seeing it. It's on the internet everywhere. You just scroll past it. You haven't taken in the bullshit.
Just fucking
Bro, it's terrible. Wow. And for any young person to sit there whose life isn't going right, who had a failed relationship, they're 21, working a dead-end job, but to see on the internet, don't worry, some flowers take longer to bloom, you're gonna make it one day, your time will come, and God, okay, great. Sigh of relief. My time will come, the internet said so. If you buy into that, you deserve to be poor forever. Like, panic mode is the best mode to be in. Things aren't quite right, life sucks, my girlfriend just left me, can't pay my rent, panic mode. Fuck the internet, fuck some flowers take longer to bloom, fuck my time is gonna come, panic. Panic and succeed. That's the worst advice I've ever seen. No one's ever, I don't think, given me that advice, but that's certainly the worst advice I've ever seen. It's up there with all of our graves are the same size and you can't take the Lamborghinis with you. That's just as stupid. You know why that's just as stupid? Ready? I'm gonna give you an example. Me and you go to the world's biggest movie theater, all right? I'm at the front row seats. I got popcorn, beautiful girl here, beautiful girl here. We all got ice cold Coca-Colas. I got nacho, I got dips, I got 3D glasses, right? You're sitting right in the back. No snacks, no girls, by yourself. It's cold up there, right? You could barely see the screen, haven't got the 3D glasses. I could be like, oh, this movie's great, I'm really enjoying this movie. If you start screaming from the back of the theater, well, mate, the movie's gonna end one day. In a couple hours, the movie's gonna end, so it doesn't matter that you're doing it that way. I'd turn around and I'd say, you are the biggest jackass I've ever heard of. What about that analogy doesn't apply to that our graves are the same size, can't take the Lambos with you, attitude to life? Oh, so it's gonna end one day. So I should what, be a bum? Like you? No, it's gonna end one day, so I'm going to enjoy the 65, 70 years I have to the absolute fullest, hopefully have, and enjoy every single little aspect that this earth can give me. Go to every single country, meet all the interesting people, sit down with millionaires like Rob Moore, who doesn't want to talk to you because you're a bum. Don't tell me all our graves are the same size. Shut the fuck up. Worst advice ever. Yeah. They're both equally as stupid.
What's your biggest...
Tell me I'm wrong.
I can't.
No,
I can't. No, I just love your energy about it. That's, What's your biggest regret? And don't say I don't have any regrets, because that's...
Oh, I've got loads of regrets. Loads and loads.
What's her name?
And loads of... Jesus, you got a pen and paper. I've got plenty of time for that. Biggest regret. I could give the cliche, not calling my father enough, blah, blah, blah answer, but that's boring. Biggest regret, not quitting the violin. Quitting the violin is my biggest regret. My life is almost perfect. I have everything a man could want. Everything is great. People respect me, people talk to me, people listen to me, I've got money, I've got cars. I can get I can get most beautiful women if I want to talk to a beautiful woman. I can certainly get one. Nice big house, few nice big houses. Everything is going well, but how much better would it be? I can't think of many things that would improve my life. I really can't. But if I could play the violin, life would be better. I'd be more respected, and it would be super cool today in this internet age. However, I started learning violin when I was 8 years old, and I got very, very good. I think I was like grade 7. I was 15 years old, and then I discovered kickboxing. Didn't want to do anything but kickbox. And my dad told me, Tristan, one day, the violin's not cool now, you're 15, the internet didn't exist, you're carrying around a violin box, a bit nerdy. The violin may not seem cool, Tristan, you're only 15, but don't quit. Because when you're older, and you're more sophisticated, and you're trying to talk to ballerinas, etc., the fact that you can play the violin is going to open so many doors for you, don't quit. And I thought, nah, the violin is lame. That's my biggest regret, quitting the violin. Should have stuck with it. Give me a violin right now, can't play shit. Not one string, not one note. That's it. So, biggest regret ever.
I have this vision of you in your pants with a heart on playing the violin.
Well, if you imagine me in my pants with a heart on, then...
I said vision.
You've got something in common with every girl on the planet, but I'm not sure we should have I'm not sure we should have drinks together, Rob.
How do you stop overthinking?
You don't. You're an overthinker or you're not. I can't sleep at night because I'm thinking too much. I wake up and if the wrong thought catches me, I'll be awake. I don't try to stop overthinking. The only way to numb overthinking is over drinking, sleeping pills, a bunch of crap that I'm not into.
So just keep thinking until you beat the overthinking.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Just if you're an overthinker, good. It's a superpower. Yeah.
And what's like maybe a 15-second tip? No, you don't like them, but a tip for good mental strength.
You know, when I was growing up and when you were growing up, people used to say this, and I really took it for granted, and so did you probably, and so did most people here because we're all of a similar age. Eat your dinner. There are children starving in Africa. You know, nowadays it's Syria or some other country. And, you know, you say that to kids and kids don't really take it in. They're like, yeah, fine, I might eat my dinner, I might not. Mental strength, for me, comes from the knowledge that so many people have it so much worse. And who am I to be crying about my situation? When I was in jail, this is already off the news and everyone's forgotten about this situation. People still talk about me being in prison. That's still national news. But let me tell you something. At the time I was in jail in January, February, 2022, earthquakes happened in Turkey. They're still rebuilding. No one cares. That's off the news now. Everyone's forgot about it. But I was in that prison cell looking up at the TV at these fathers and mothers screaming and crying because they couldn't find their kids. Kids running around. Where's my parents? These people were dead, by the way, because the death toll was absolutely massive. And I was like, okay, hear me out. I'm worth loads of money. I won't say the number. It's loads. My mom, my daughter, everyone I care about is completely taken care of. All these cars, all this money, all these, life's good, I'm healthy. Okay, I'm in jail, so what? They would trade my places with me in a second if they could have their families and everything completely healthy. They'd sit in jail, especially every man would sit in jail happily for the rest of their lives to have what I have. So yeah, I don't break because who am I to break? Things are going pretty well for me. I owe it to the people out there who watch me, who believe in me, to not break. When Sam Smith, and I don't know why I'm saying this guy's name, during the COVID lockdowns was crying on video in his 15 million pound mansion, this is so hard. I was like, who is still a fan of that guy after this? Everyone was going through the same crap in England, but you're sitting there in a 15 million pound mansion crying on the internet about how hard your life is. I will never be that guy, ever. My life is great. Jail, life's great. Something bad happens to me, I lose my arm. Life isn't the best, but you know, it's still pretty great. So, mental strength, that's the key. There are children starving in Africa.
And this is the final question. This show is called Disruptors. You didn't have to smile so big when I said this is the final question.
Just giving the audience a smile. I haven't smiled yet today.
What does the word disruptive mean to you?
Disruptive? It can mean two things. Disruption is a power. It's a power that can either be used for good or evil. If me and you are talking and some LGBTQ plus clown makeup protester runs in here and disrupts our podcast, that's disruption being used for the power of evil. But even you existing, you writing this book, me and Andrew having our voice, having our podcast, running our programs, that's disrupting. That's disruption to a very powerful system which is trying to keep people in their place. And there's nothing better than that. So it's a power like anything else, like violence. It can be used for good, it could be used for evil. So if you're going to disrupt things, make sure you're doing it for a good reason.
And you mentioned maybe two or three times the online school. So can you tell us about that?
Well, it's very simple. I mean, The Real World is a program where real life millionaires with real life experience who've actually made money in the real world, hence the name, teach you the lessons every single day. When I was growing up, I had no access to millionaires, didn't know anyone with money, ever. My mobile phone was filled with, broke dudes and drug dealers because they were my friends, not because I bought drugs. But, nowadays, you can join the real world and you have access to millionaires who are willing to take time out of their day to teach you things, teach you the lessons that help them make money, teach you the methods that help them make money. You have direct access, direct conversation with them. It's a really great community. It's a wonderful thing. And they keep trying to stop us and they keep trying to shut us down. But just like when they tried to shut down Uber, They failed because Uber is a better system than trying to flag taxis on a cold street and calling phone numbers. The technology was so good and it was such a better system that Uber triumphed. So, you know, they've tried to take us down, tried to attack us, tried to delete our website, tried to delete our promotion, and we grow and grow and grow. And because it's tried and tested, and people can join for $49, and if they hate it so much, leave the next month. I don't care. No problem. So yeah, The Real World's a really wonderful, really, really wonderful product.
And what's the address if they want to go and join?
Join The Real World. Just Google Join The Real World. I don't know if it's .net or .com. I think .com banned us because. So I don't know exactly what. But
you'll find that. Join The Real World.
You'll find it. There's a link in my Twitter bio. Tate the Talisman on Twitter. There's a link in there.
I've really enjoyed this.
So have I.
You've given me a lot of time. Really grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Cheers, Tristan.
So let me know what you think in the comments. The bit that personally blew me away the most was how Tristan came to life and went on a massive rant about sexual consent. I'd love your thoughts because these are important subjects we must discuss. If you've just landed here and you haven't watched my insane Andrew Tate Part 1 and Andrew Tate Part 2, go watch them right now because I regard this episode as part of a series. Part 1 Andrew, Part 2 Andrew, and Part 3 Tristan. I spent 15 hours pretty much straight with Andrew and Tristan in Romania, so go back and consume my wild Andrew Tate episodes. And if you don't want to be known as a brokey or a loser, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn the notification bell on.